Hello, hello. Welcome
Howdy.
to the first 112 race. Very excited. Got me, CC on comms, and then we also have May.
Howdy. Yeah, it should be good. This is
Oh,
like you say, the first 112 race. It's not really been considered marathon viable or race viable that much, but people have just gotten very good, and this is two extremely high level runners showing it off, so it should be a lot of fun. Looks like we're starting. Yep. There's some, I guess, context. Nebula is a serial world record farmer in basically every category, and Nightmare is one of the foremost runners in the Chinese community. So this is a lot of firsts. The first 112 race and a first kind of Western and Chinese community event, which is really cool. It'll be interesting to see kind of some of the differences that just through having those more insular communities that have kind of formed, be it just in like philosophy or strats. And
Yeah.
very clean movement starting off as we kind of expect.
Yeah, for sure. It's something that I know the community's talked about for like a long time, getting all the runners together to have a big race, especially the Chinese community who've been very competitive in the 112 scene.
Yeah, 112 pants. A lot of basically anything on current patch they're going to be really competitive in. There's a lot of even just like random current patch meme categories that they're just absurdly good at. It's really cool. And the Chinese community has just grown so much over the last few years. It's, yeah, really big, so it's nice to see it getting some representation in a wider audience.
Yeah, for sure. Especially having pretty iconic 112 runners. Nebula's pretty new to the scene, but has already made big impact, getting world records, just very high level runner in many categories right off the get-go. And Nightmare added a lot of like Pantheon optimizations to 112%. Was the first to do the Overcharmed Godhome, got the Pantheon bounty from Valley back in the day, just very well known for having some of the best Pantheons the entire time he's been running.
Yeah, Nightmare's been just consistently one of the top 112 runners for so long, so it's also kind of that cool storyline of the new player versus the more tenured one. Nebula kind of famous for learning categories extremely quickly, and so it's been really cool seeing how quickly he's been able to get himself in the mix with the other top runners of the category.
Yeah, seems like we had a bit of a Nebula internet moment, but hopefully it should be caught up soon. We'll have a chance to resync it.
It's fine. Every Nebula internet moment is another day he doesn't play League.
Very true. There's been a lot of changes to 112% early game over the past few years. The notable one being that Fury is no longer picked up early anymore by pretty much any runner. It's still a viable option, but especially in a race setting, there's really no reason to. It only saves a couple seconds at most.
Yeah, for sure. And as you mentioned, in a race, it's just very hard to justify potentially just coin flipping several minutes for 2 seconds. As much as it can be a lot more consistent, it's hard to justify.
Oh, do you want to get the title, May, since I'm not cool enough to do that?
Oh, true. Title.
Now, just because the runners aren't doing theory doesn't mean they won't be 1 HP for the bosses. You have to take a lot of damage already in the run. You have to tank damage on False Knight, you have to tank a bunch of damage on Soulmaster, so Fury at a top level doesn't make it that much safer, it just gives you the option to lose some time.
The run is still quite synced up. It's actually closer than it looks at a glance just because of slight desyncs in the loads. So that's why each runner has their own timer rather than one shared one, I guess, is worth explaining if you've somehow found yourself here without much knowledge of Hollow Knight. We use a loadless timer, so that removes a bit of time through each transition as it's loading in. It removes a lot more than just the load, but it's the same for everyone, so it's kind of fine. It does what we need it to do.
And yeah, I'll try to resync it when opportunities present itself. I failed the first one because I forgot to up the stream delay, but it doesn't matter too much, especially with how long the category is. It's sure to flip back and forth all the time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is a best of 1. I can't imagine doing a best of 3 that goes to game 3 and it's like 9 hours long.
Loadless and everything, it's like 10 hours.
Yeah. Right, early control here, hopefully. Nightmare getting a first spit.
First spit and the new strat where you take damage on the alder with the fireball.
Oh.
That is
How many
unfortunate.
spits has Nebula got, by the way? He's still going. There we go. We got to see Nightmare do the whole early control before Nebula even got a spit. And then it bounced up on the wrong side. Oh my god.
That was incredibly unfortunate.
They did it. They nerfed Nebula.
Luckily for Nebula, there are Umus in Pantheons, and an Umu in Overworld, so...
They really went, what's the worst part of any percent? Cool, now put 3 of them in there.
It's also a lot more time loss than any percent. The max time loss compared to the best pattern is 18 seconds per Umu, so you can lose 36 seconds on one boss.
That's so cool and fun. And I guess worth mentioning.
Oh, yeah, you can. The reason that Umu is a lot worse in Pantheons is because Umu can go straight on the first attack, give you the jellyfish, whereas Umu in Overworld has to do at least 3 attacks before opening up. So a lot of the Pantheon bosses are more RNG with their increased health and just worse patterns or whatever than they are in Overworld. So a lot of the variance in the run is pretty much at the end.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal going into a like 40-minute boss rush at the end of a 3-hour run when, especially as you mentioned, like the boss fights and especially Godhome boss fights is such a large source of variance. And yeah, after that Boulder early control, we equipped Soul Catcher, which is our first charm for the run. And that's basically just going to increase the amount of soul we get for every hit, which just helps with some of the soul routing in this split, and we're benching anyway, and you're kind of locked into the sitting on the bench for a little bit, so in that time with quick menuing you aren't losing any time to equipping Soul Catcher.
Yeah, big thing is mostly you're gonna put it on anyway later, since we're gonna go a long time before getting other useful charms.
Alright, cool. Both getting the quick kill there.
Yeah, at least for early game, Vengeful Spirit is going to be the primary damage for all these short bosses that are coming up.
Yeah, definitely. So the numbers behind it are VS does 15 damage, and then our basic nail swing is 5. And then we can also do what's called a nail cancel, where we do a fireball directly after a nail swing, and it cancels like the other nail swing, so you're actually even more efficient DPS wise than it would look on paper. And then we're getting the green path stag here, just for later routing.
For who are familiar with the category, you might have noticed that both runners opted to skip the grub. Collecting the grub later has been found to be optimal again, and is no longer required for the current geo. So that will be collected when the runners go back to Banish and get Shape of Un.
Until 3 months from now when they put it back in.
Yep. That's the
Feels
thing
like this category changes so much.
That's the thing with 112% is a lot of the routing is this like chain effect where one reroute makes a bunch of things change back or do in new ways. Like early Dashmaster routing was based off of other specific routing that happened like an hour later into the run.
Yeah, it's really cool from a like theory crafting point of view as well. Like as someone that more casually follows 112, seeing how the route evolves and changes and the knock-on effect that it has is really interesting.
Yeah, 112% is kind of like a puzzle, but you're given the pieces out of order and you can only put the pieces together in order.
Also, like, so many of the pieces have 3 edges the same, and so you can build like 80% of the puzzle, and then you find that like you can change the orientation of like the 5th piece you placed, and then it changes like the shape of the entire thing, but it's like slightly better.
Neither runner are getting the inventory drop here. This is one of the other big inventory drops in the run. It saves about a second. It is a frame perfect trick though on this patch, and across the run you're bound to miss some.
Yeah, definitely. And getting the leg eater bench here, which is slightly slower than the breader bench, but the movement's much easier / more consistent.
Yeah, so
I
there's
believe
two.
is still the
Yeah, there's 2 benches you can take for 112% when you collect Dashmaster so you can get back to city. There's the Leg Eater bench and the Breader bench. Breader bench is only really faster for Fury, and it's only by like 0.2 or 0.3 these days. Since there's been new Shroomel Ogre strats developed. So pretty much no one's going to go for it anymore. Everyone's going to take the Leg Eater bench. It's a lot easier.
Ooh. So both runners missing E-Pogo. Nebula getting it the second time. Nightmare having some soul issues. Okay, hopefully gets it this time. Oh no, but at least didn't shoot the fireball, so as long as he doesn't get hit by the explosion, yep, we're fine.
E-Pogo is a really difficult trick. It's a lot better than it used to be. In fact, E-Pogo was one of the dominant reasons that current patch was unpopular for so long, just because it was a very punishing trick and you lose about 30 seconds going around. So even with Nightmare taking so long to get it, it was still much faster than trying to go all the way around.
Yeah, the Comfy Pogo and all of its derivatives that have kind of spawned from it, making use of the fireball for E-Pogo, have really helped fix a lot of the current patch early game. I know, at least personally, like going from 1.2.2.1 to current patch for things like Horse Skills, which have a similar early game, all of the little changes in current patch just made it like harder and more inconsistent. So seeing a lot of those kind of worked out and all of the development that current patch has gotten has made the current patch like much more appealing. But yeah, that E-Pogo incident has given Nebula a slight lead now instead of being that kind of 11 seconds down. And I mean, this will probably happen several times over the course of the run. It's just so long and there's so many little things that can go one person's way or the other. As we get to Fluke boss fights as well, sometimes you'll just lose time. You should have just got luckier.
Yeah, the Fluke fights are pretty exciting because it's probably one of the biggest spots where strats have been developed, especially for things like Veil Champ. But there still are bosses like White Defender and Nosk that, even though there's been new strats to help mitigate some of the RNG, sometimes you just get lucky and sometimes you don't.
Yeah, a big thing is that like when the Fluke fights go well, they're just over, and so the bad RNG can just lose so much time. Like Nos, if it runs left, is just kind of dead. So then it's any kind of length of fight is going to be losing a ton of time to that.
For people who don't know, we'll talk about it more when we get to the Fluke section, but Flukes are able to multi-hit bosses. They move in specific ways, and if the bosses don't move in that way, it's kind of like you're losing the damage of a full spell each time it happens. And when you're casting, 4, 5, 6 Fluke casts, it takes a long time to get enough soul to make up for all those damage from the multi-hits you're missing.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, Nebula stretching his lead a little bit here as we get to City. Coming up is Soul Sanctum, which is a pretty notorious part of the run. Current patch Sanctum is kind of nicer, just due to changes in like Twister AI, and especially that's become true as current patch has been developed and refined so much more over the last few years. And getting the Sentry Pogo there, nice.
Yeah, the Dash Master reroute in particular just makes the early game movement very fluid and very optimal. So in a lot of spots where early game can be a bit dull in some other categories, 112% kind of has a lot going for it, even in City. As we see different strats for even getting up to the Relic, the Jennifer Pogo versus the Valley Pogo.
You don't go to Lem now. That's interesting.
Yeah, so Lem was routed out a while ago because when you buy the extra charm notch for overcharmed Godhome, you need a lot more Geo. So you grab the Sanctum chest and skip the first Lem cell to help even it out.
Makes sense. A lot of my knowledge kind of comes from 107, and it's like 80% applicable, but then I'm going to be very confused by the remaining 20%, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting how just skipping Godhome and a couple charm notches changes the route a lot more than you would think.
Yeah, and like not needing to fight Tyrant in the Overworld's a big one as well, I think, for early game routing. Because like you skip the toll bench, right?
Yeah, early game routing is affected a lot by the Tyrant. And the Geo as well from the toll bench and everything just kind of all adds up together.
Nebula at a bit of a health lead here, which is a bit important just because at the start of the Soul Master fight we do want to take a couple of damage intentionally for an early control.
And right there with the twisters, it's called Hellroom for a reason. Those twisters can spawn right where you're trying to dash, and it's really easy to take a lot of damage.
Yeah, notably they can't spawn inside you on this patch at least, but they can certainly be in the way, and they can certainly all group up right in the choke point that you need to pass through.
They don't spawn in your hitbox, but they can spawn where your dash is going to end, so you can still get like killed with no kind of counterplay.
Oh, Nightmare.
In a bit of a predicament.
Okay. Okay. And he just took a high path there just to avoid the mistakes can be right the way to the left there, so if you're brushing up against the right wall it can kind of just hit you, and when you've taken such a weird amount of time to get there because you ran into issues, you can't rely on it to be in a predictable spot as much.
It's pretty easy
Good
to see
fight
why
from Nebula.
Sanctum is one of the biggest run killers. Even now, the Nightmare's still going to be forced to go to 1 HP again for the Soul Master fight.
Yeah, so we have to take that second damage there just to get us into a normal state, basically, just so we're not getting a major glitch. But are still able to start doing our damage rotations nice and early. But it also just, yeah, having those 2 damage tanks right after Hellroom and Follies and all that is just terrifying. It's very easy to see how that can go wrong.
Nightmare so far, beautifully executed Soulmaster fight, just getting all the doubles, everything lining up perfectly, and was able to get the heal off before phase 2 for some safety.
Yeah, he's actually been able to reduce some of his time loss through that Sanctum just with a really clean Soulmaster there. I know Nebula had a really good phase 2 though. Nightmares seems to be going pretty well. Quick
Yeah,
catch.
fake dive was a bit awkward, but managed to recover it pretty easily, and having great HP going into the Soul Sanctum exit.
Nebula missing the fake dive there. So just having to grab some soul from that totem.
Yeah, getting the soul from the totem always feels really bad. It's a couple second time loss, but lining up the fake dive is just too slow, so a lot of times you're trying to do it really quickly out of that dash.
Yeah, and it's relatively lenient on 1.5, so odds are it's, you know, going to be faster on average. And Nebula, yeah, just showing that one off there. Just YOLOing it. So you can see how they can be better.
One of the big reasons 112 is run on 1.5 is because of fake dive. Prior to this patch, it's actually a load dependent RNG thing where based on the order of the floor loading in, it changes whether or not it's even possible to do.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, it's not great. 1.5 has added a lot of QOL, and is definitely in part a reason why current patch has had such a big surge in popularity over the last few years.
Yeah. There's definitely some downsides to 1.5 though, like Landant, but, you know,
Yes.
you gotta pick your poison sometimes.
Yeah, God. But that was a clean storms from Nebula. That's another one of those rooms that, especially if you're not super familiar with the script, basically, it can just go horribly wrong really fast just because there's so many of these flying enemies here, and you can get sniped by a spear or something quite easily.
Yeah, Sanctum and storerooms into this Crystal Peak section is super high execution, and HP really matters a lot. So making mistakes, getting sniped, having unclean movement, missing a wall jump, all those things can really easily destroy a run.
Yeah, especially like missing a wall jump on paper isn't that much time loss, but then because that is going to affect like all of the enemy positions and things like that, it actually can have a really big knock-on effect, and it can lead to you getting hit or just having to wait for a different cycle.
Yeah, so for example, Nebula just missed the quick kill on the Grub Guard and lost a bunch of HP, so now the soul situation and HP situation is going to be a lot worse going in, since you do need to take quite a bit of damage in Crystal Peak to hit the fast cycles.
And Peak's one of those places where it's all cycle based, so if you end up missing the cycle because you need to conserve health or you're taking it safe or anything, you're going to be punished really hard. And there's one of those damage tanks.
Nebula into the Wrath, skipping Ogak. Ogak on this patch is just generally pretty bad to go for, especially with Dashmaster. And going left, you get the soul, and it's not really slow.
Yeah, especially if you have enough health. It's just nicer.
Clean dog cycle from Nebula there. Going on the right side is the dog cycle, because the left side is a god cycle, and it's backwards.
And Nebula, Nightmare electing to do a dive through the Glim back there, just to keep that extra bit of health.
Oh, that is an unfortunate dunk. At least it's after the hazard respawn. Just trying to go a little bit too fast on that spike though, go there and not quite getting enough height.
Nightmare just electing to wait for the cycle there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, generally you don't want to go for God Cycle on 112 because it's RNG. So if you miss Dog Cycle because you mess up the movement, it's better to just wait out the laser, keep that HP in case you need it later.
Yeah, because like the big difference, 20%, is just we do have to continue after Sea Heart, and then going into through Crushes, and then through the Dark Room, and then into D-Dark, it's very easy to get hit. And then in 112, do you continue from Dreamnail through Crypts?
No, so we do part of Crypt, but we are gonna quit out after Soul Eater.
Okay.
So there isn't any of the like Crypts exit, but the start of Crypt is the scary part anyway, where you can potentially take the damage. But most runners are really comfortable with Crypts because they're husks do 2 damage, and there's just no way you ever have 2 HP here without wasting 10 seconds to get some soul and heal. Because one of the other things with Crystal Peak is soul is often quite hard to come by outside of the specific enemies you already hit.
Yeah, for sure, and in Crypts as well, the soul, you want to have so much soul going into it, and having to stop and collect soul is just a lot of time loss.
Nebula managing
on
to
top of the normal heal.
save himself in the dark room accidentally missed the platform and dashed off. But one of the things with Dash Master is if you dash off a wall in the dark room, you can buffer a dash to get back on. And so Dash Master actually lets you save dunking in the dark room a lot of the time.
And we should see an early control here.
Assuming Buggy cooperates.
Ooh. Alright, second shot. Easy.
And actually collecting the D-Dark. It's pretty easy to go too early if the Buggy hits you right away.
Yeah, it's a nice silver lining to the Buggy getting you on the second shot. You're at least at no risk of leaving too early.
Yeah, it's not as slow as it looks, the second shot, because you already kind of have to wait. As far as big time losses go, Nebula's made it through the rough part of early game. Nebula will be able to at least open the stag, and so there's not as big of a risk to dying to anything at this point.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of just falling in Dream Plats feels bad and you lose 7 to 10 seconds, but it's far better than 2 minutes.
Yeah, if you die, like, in Crystal Mound, you're probably losing upwards of 3 to 4 minutes. Most of the deaths past this point get a lot better. There are some, like obviously Pantheon 5, but most of the deaths from here on out will be a lot more salvageable, so you'll probably see runners playing it a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah, for sure. I think as far as early game's concerned, Late Sanctum, Hornet, and C-/D-Dark are kind of the worst deaths you can take.
Yep. Yeah, the only other death that comes even like close in overworlds is 3 is pretty bad, and then dying to Traitor Lord, since you'll have to walk all the way back.
And we haven't really spoken much about the lead at the moment, but Nebula has pulled a bit of a gap. But part of the reason we haven't mentioned that is because we're 26 minutes into a 3-hour run. So
yeah,
it kind of doesn't mean that much as long as they stay relatively close. Pantheons can always just change that. A flower can change that. Like a Colo can change that.
Yeah, Sanctum is really good at creating those time losses, but it ultimately doesn't necessarily matter, because even just like one mistake in a lot of sections can snowball into a 20-30 second time loss, like taking too much damage in Hive during the overcharm, or messing up Collector stream skip. There's going to be a lot of potential mistakes that could happen from runners.
Yeah, Sanctum's kind of like enough time loss that it's devastating in all skills, but in 112 it's like, yeah, just add it to the pile. Right, I'm getting Shaman and a Notch here.
Yeah, so
Um,
so the notches and Salubra stuff won't be bought until Flower, so pretty much all the other charms and upgrades are going to be coming from what's found.
Yeah, we get Shaman in the Notch here just because A, Shaman's really good, and B, this main Notches gives us kind of a nice break point just because it lets us more easily overcharm different charm combinations, and it also means that we can have two 2-notch charms and not be overcharmed, and when we get a 5th notch we can have a 2 and a 3, which are a lot of the really good charms are kind of one of those two prices of, like, you have your Twister, your Dash Master at 2, and you have obviously Shaman at 3.
Yeah. Reaver also doesn't let you buy notches unless you hit a certain number of charms, and so getting enough charms to buy another notch at this point in the run is just too expensive or too time consuming.
Yeah, the first notch is very doable just because that's 5 charms, and you're buying one from Salubra, and then there's obviously the Soul Catcher we get early, Dash Master, Twister, and whatever one I'm missing. Soul Eater, that's it.
Yeah. So to compensate, runners will be overcharmed for a good majority of the run. There are still a few overcharms that aren't done by runners because they are considered too risky, but it's far and few between. It will be more overcharmed than not from here on out.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the bigger changes in the last couple of years, just how as runners get more comfortable with movement and also just understanding the different patterns, figuring out that certain things are deterministic or have, you know, one of a set number of patterns. The amount of overcharms that we do is just gradually increased.
Yeah, especially as more strats are found to make the overcharms more consistent, like better ways to deal with the Maulurks in Basin, or better strats to handle Pantheons, etc. Nebula is getting pretty close to unlocking the full damage loadout here. Shade Soul is the second to last step in unlocking the best spell in the run. As soon as Nebula finishes picking up Shade Soul, Nebula's gonna book it straight to go fight Flukemarm and get Flukenest, and Flukenest is the singular biggest damage upgrade in the run, and we won't be needing any other damage increases for several hours. Oh, that is unfortunate. Nebula missing the wall jump to get to the grub there.
When that movement goes right, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's super slick movement. Normally the big risk of messing it up is that you're at risk of dying if you've gotten hit at all in Soul Warrior, but Nebula had a pretty decent fight, so wasn't any danger there.
Very clean fight from Nightmare as well.
One of the recent overcharms that's also been developed is the Waterways overcharm. It saves roughly 3 seconds, but it can go very wrong very quick. It's a short death if it happens, but be interesting to see. Yep, Nebula is going for it.
Oh, yeah, I
opting.
forgot that you guys need to open the shortcut here.
Yeah, the shortcut is pretty scary because that bird is pretty much just instant death if you mess it up.
Yeah, for
Since,
sure.
since you're taking 4 damage and it's a very tight window. Oh, this is
Oh.
bad. Holy.
Oh.
Yeah, that is one of the
Yeah,
other
very
risks.
nice backup.
If you miss one of those nail cancels on Flukenest, the fight starts to get sketchy immediately.
Yeah, and then that low spawn on the right, Fly not dying to that fireball and just managing to avoid it barely.
Yeah,
Really nice backup.
it's only like a 20-second death since you do have the shortcut and the bench, but it's never fun when it happens.
Yeah, definitely, and it's close enough that it probably would have been... Oh, there's what we mean
Yeah.
about the bird.
Yeah.
Nightmare at least getting the shortcut open, so that shortens the run back even more.
Yeah, if you have the shortcut open and you die to the bird, it's only like 15 seconds. But you do have to get the shade, it's an annoying spot.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Just quit
Need to
out,
quit
yeah.
out, yep. Normally you have to like pogo the shade and then pogo the flying thing to get back up. It's a really weird backup and you have to have practiced it. And most runners are just going to try to not die.
Is it almost faster to just get 3 soul and then 5 shade soul it through the wall? Because you're going to get full soul through there anyway.
Yeah, you could probably do that. I just wouldn't know where the soul is.
I think one of the standing guys, the guy at the right at the drop down, and then the bird ideally, but you're then also risking taking that 4 damage again.
Okay, let's go. Nebula hit the Dung Defender, quick kill. It's a very specifically timed nail to cancel Dung Defender from screaming by staggering.
Didn't even do the dash version. Fraud.
The dash version is one of the worst things I've ever practiced in this game, and I hate you
It's
for
so
showing me
cool.
It's such a terrible strat. So hard.
Like 70% of the time it works every time.
Yeah, and at the 30% when it doesn't, you just have to reset your run.
Just don't miss.
Ah,
If I can get it 70% of the time, I believe that good runners can get it every time.
I guess I'm just not a good runner then.
Yeah. But if you had finished a 112 run, then clearly you would have been a good runner.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's my bad.
Alright, Nebula doing a left-right wall slide there, which is a piece of keyboard tech where holding left and right, it uncaps your... Well, not uncaps, but you don't get the like sliding wall cling speed, which is just lets you be clinging a wall but still falling fast.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of properties that's pretty unique to it. And you can do a lot of interesting movement. It's been checked for a little bit, but it's been pretty recently optimized. Notice that
Ooh.
Nebula dropped the overcharm for basin. This is another one of the optional overcharms that's been pretty meta. It makes sense though, because in a race environment, you can get put in some really awkward spots, and it makes not only the Maulers harder, but also makes Lost Kin pretty rough.
Yeah, also looks like he got hit by the ceiling Warlock, I think, which is one of the maybe the only one you don't have full control over.
Yeah.
Or the C-dash cancel one as well.
You don't have control over the ceiling one at all. Overcharm, there's actually 3 you don't have control over, which is annoying. You can like back up the ceiling one, but it's slow. So overall, it's just like a very risky strat, and it doesn't always save time.
Nebula not doing wall cling storage there, not getting his run invalidated. You love to see it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hot topic, but seems to have been resolved. Nightmare also not going for the Overcharm here as well. I'm not too surprised. It's probably one of the worst Overcharms that's been developed in terms of how risky it is compared to how much time it saves.
Yeah, for sure, and
yeah, you really don't want to die
for a
here.
race as well. You really kind of shift your risk-reward priorities.
Yeah. This lost kin fight, you're mostly going to be looking to see runners alternate between getting these doubles off and then getting D-Darks on the staggers.
Right. So, looking at it so far, Nebula should have just overcharmed.
Yeah, Nebula would have been fine on the Overcharm, probably. But Overcharm does have one more Moloch that becomes RNG. So, you kind of never know. Because the Moloch that you normally would C-dash through, you actually dash through with Dash Master.
Yeah. I was racking my brain, like, how does taking extra damage make something RNG, but using the thing that you've overcharmed would make sense.
Yeah, Dash Master just leads to different movement. It like saves 1 second, but there's like a 20% chance you get hit.
Classic gambling.
Yeah. A lot of Hollow Knight is gambling. If you don't love Euro slot machines, you probably wouldn't like running. So chat asked about why runners don't use flukes on the overworld Lost Kin and Broken Vessel. A lot of it just has to do with Quick Slash. Quick Slash and flukes is a really disgusting combo, where with Quick Slash you're able to get more fluke multi-hits in. But the biggest reason is probably just risk-reward. Flukes has a better time that you can get on these fights, but if the bosses do bad attacks, you don't really have a great way to back them up since casts are all of your damage. Whereas in Godhome, if they do the bad attack, you're just gonna Quick Slash them anyway.
Yeah, and also in Godhome, there's the context of the bosses around them. So even if flukes were slightly worse on one of those bosses, if it's way faster on the rest of that section, you're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, there's just kind of no way to drop them with what bosses there are. You've got, things like White Defender after Lost Kin and Traitor Lord that are just a lot faster.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I have very little idea what the actual order of bosses and Pantheons is. I just know it ends with, like, NKG PV Absran.
Yeah, it's hard because the order is also different between P5 and then the earlier Pantheons. So I know that even when I was running, there's times where I was looking at Live Split to see what the heck was coming next.
Yeah. Alright. Some really nice movement up through cliffs here from Nebula. And Nightmare just finishing his basin section.
Yeah, this section of the run is pretty skilled, pretty low RNG from here on. There obviously is RNG, it still is Hollow Knight, but most of it is execution.
Yeah, and in this section, most of the RNG is just like getting C-dash glitched, and so you lose a second or two instead of you gambled badly 3 times and now you're dead and you've lost a minute.
Yeah, the biggest ones besides that, it's Enraged Guardian flukes, and also which failed champ pattern you get. Because failed champ's like 6 seconds and Enraged Guardian's like another 5 seconds, maybe.
Yeah. When you're good, what's the Grimkin Novice, like, difference between Fireball and Dash?
Fireball and flukes. So the Grimkin Novice, when they Fireball and dash attacks. So the dash attack, if they do it at the right angle, you can fluke when they're coming into you. Like if they go at a diagonal, if they're not at a diagonal, you have to wait for them to finish the dash and fluke after them. So in terms of like time, it's only about 1 second, and you still get the Grimkin in one attack.
Okay, yeah. I definitely used to just wait for the fireball attack, so that's cool to know.
Yeah, the dash attack is pretty hard, hard in terms of execution. You have to position right, and you have to react pretty quickly. But most top runners aren't going to have issues with that.
I'll keep it in mind for my 112 art. There's a 3942 quit out from Nebula. I'll just keep track of that for getting an idea of the delta.
Yeah, from my understanding, this is looking like about a minute 30. It's been a while since I ran, and I didn't ever run 11 notch, but there still is quite a bit fast happen here. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Oh.
What you want to do there is a specific movement setup that gets you to line up in the perfect spot to Dream No Gorb and get hit by the fly. Unfortunately, Nightmare corner collected when dashing over the ledge, and so Nightmare wasn't far enough to Dream No Gorb, which is a pretty easy mistake to make. Overall, that mistake was just another like 10 seconds for Nightmare, making the lead starting to get pretty substantial here.
Yeah, this is definitely getting to the point where it's kind of Nebula's bought himself bad RNG on a few things and still being ahead.
Yeah, bad RNG or like a quick death and still being in a comfortable spot.
Yeah, and especially once we get Dreamgate, a lot of the deaths speed up.
Yeah, you can get deaths that are as quick as, 30 seconds in a pretty good majority of the run.
So it looks like pretty well dead on a minute and a half.
We'll see if we get the Grimkin thing we're talking about. So that wasn't enough angle to get it, but Nebula went for it and was able to get it the nail hit after. It is risky though, because there is a double damage tank you kind of want to do on the grub. And
yeah, this is definitely to
multiple bosses.
Yeah, definitely want to see clean Crystal Guardians here from Nebula. The Heat Grub strat is really cool, but really sucks if it goes wrong.
Yeah, Grub strat is 2 damage if you execute it well, and then 3 damage if you're making a mistake. Bit of an unfortunate jump from Enraged Guardian.
Yeah, Nebula healing up to 4 there, just because we only need 1 more cast, I believe, for this split, if you get the inventory drop.
Yeah, you only need to cast to break open the wall.
Yeah, so just that extra health there gives them some room to play with. Alright, Nebula doing the safe strat.
Yeah, if you have the cast, you can go for the safe strat. The big thing about doing the damage strat is you just get to... Oh, that is unfortunate.
Oh.
Good backup, though.
This room's also really cool.
Yeah. Nebula has IL'd this room a lot, spent a lot of time just grinding out, getting the fastest possible time here.
What a nerd.
Yeah, Nebula's quite known for having extremely good wall jumps and very clean movement.
Yeah, also just got that any percent runner mentality and has just put so much time into the category that he's grinded out every room.
Yeah, 112 is kind of getting to the spot where that's pretty much what you have to do to be competitive, is spend a lot of time in every room and doing individual split segments.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we've seen as well this run, like, just how much time you can buy yourself with clean movement. So it's pretty easy to see how those optimizations are becoming required.
Getting the frame perfect D-Dark thing there. You move for 1 frame after you start D-Darking, so Nebula went up, but
yeah, I was gonna say that it's like a grounded D-Dark.
Yep. Due to funny code in Hollow Knight, you actually move 1 frame before a lot of actions. So like if you charge a C-dash, you move for 1 frame. So if you're like C-dashing out of a load, you're supposed to still hold, like in the Troopmaster Grim tent.
Shoutouts to the elusive diagonal dive that was just save state jank.
Oh yeah, that was
Oh, nightmare.
Thankfully did not aggro the buggy, so didn't have to do any awkward backups.
The voices.
Nebula's approaching Failed Champ here. Failed Champ is a fight that's actually completely solved, since Failed Champ can only do 2 attacks, and so all the patterns are labbed out exactly. We need Failed Champ to do 1 of the attacks, so we can get multi-hits with the Flukenest. And if Failed Champ does the other attack, we just have to wait.
Yeah, it's a really cool fight. Hopefully we get to see the invisible, like, intangible mace pattern, just because I think it's funny.
Here we go.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Yep. So, Failed Champ, if they do that specific pattern and only that pattern, the mace doesn't have a hitbox on that attack. But it has to only be at the start of the fight, and it's only on that second attack when they do the jump over on the first one. That is a 1 in 4 pattern, and it's one of the better patterns. The fastest, but it's really good. Nightmare going for a swaggy version of Zalian Cycle there, which Nebula barely missed. Getting some time where Nightmare can.
Yep, and I guess worth mentioning as well is that we're able to just leave the Failed Champ Dream as soon as it's dead there. Just lets us do a similar thing as we did with the Loskin Death Warp, where as soon as the Dream Boss is dead, you can just leave and you still get the essence. We'll do it with Dreamgate later in White Defender and GPZ, unless things have changed in that regard for 112.
Yeah, we'll do it in both those spots still, just with Dreamgate.
Right. To be honest, I wasn't even sure if you fought both of them in the overworld. I wasn't sure what the unlock criteria are.
Yeah, so we're skipping in 112% in overworld is Soul Tyrant. We don't need Soul Tyrant because Soul Tyrant just unlocks in Godhome, and we don't need the essence since we're getting so much from the other bosses that they've added to the game, like White Defender and Grey Prince Oat. Grey Prince Oat we do have to fight because we are doing all Pantheon bosses, and Grey Prince Oat does not unlock if you have not fought. Oh, Nightmare missing the second multis. That would have been the optimal pattern if executed properly.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Nightmare. Nebula getting that Grimkin nice and clean, and we're going to grab the Storm's Vessel, and then do we go straight into Green Path after this?
Yes. Green Path is the last spot where we get the Tier 1 Grimkin, and most of the routing in this category is based off doing the Grim Quest to avoid backtracking. But first, Nebula has to mash a bunch of dialogue and get Dreamgate. Dreamgate is one of the other big things that's prioritized after damage, just because it just allows you to have more fluid routing and skip some hard saves.
Doing this split, the 107 equivalent of this split, where it starts with mashing a quit out, mashing a stag, and then mashing the seer dialogue, and then doing another stag, and then doing Cyclone Slash. Just grinding that segment was enough for me to be like, maybe we do need a text masher, because holy crap, mashing seer dialogue every time you wanted to do it was just the worst.
Yeah, my favorite is also the Seer Ascension split, where all you do is ascend Seer, which is like mashing. You save one grub and crypts, and then you get flower. It's 1 minute long, and all of it's mashing and a quit out.
What a cool game.
Also, there's like one C dash to pick up, you know, Dream Shield, but that's also not gameplay. Oh, Nightmare also getting the one cycle on the Grimkin.
Taking that extra couple of damage, unfortunately, but we do quit out from this vessel fragment now, I believe, so
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you quit out here, and you're never going to take more than 1 damage in Storm's Vessel Fragment unless something goes really horribly wrong. So.
I believe someone's gotten hit into spikes here.
Yeah, it happens, but at that point, you know, it's already pretty rough time-wise.
Yeah.
At this point, Nebula is just cleaning up Green Path. There's still one more very brief trip to Green Path on the way to Banish. We're gonna get the missing grubs and Boulder Shell and Shape of On. But pretty much everything else in Green Path's gonna get grabbed here, which is a couple of grubs, no eyes, thorns, and the Vessel Fragment. A lot of the order that we do the Grimkin in this category is based purely off of the fragment routing, since you want to quit out of fragments, and if you complete a fragment, you can't quit out as quickly. So you want to complete fragments in spots where you don't quit out.
Yeah, exactly. Clean movement from Nebula here, and getting the nice D-dart pattern on the dash there. This section is not too bad. It'll be later where we have to deal with no eyes and stuff, where kind of the next big point of variance is this movement's all pretty consistent. It's fun movement though.
Yeah, chat pointing out that Nebula's on a bit of a pacer here. Obviously, it's easy to see the time discrepancy, but Nebula's on one of the best paces in this category right now, so. Just overall been very little mistakes from him.
Yeah, definitely. Nebula, obviously coming from any percent and a lot of those other categories, has a very good early game, and it's on kind of full display here. Because world record's Scotty, right?
I believe it's Scotty right now.
Yeah. Okay, so compared to a Scotty early game, it's a kind of low bar.
Yeah.
But still significantly ahead of it.
Yeah, Scotty's known for saying I'm bad at early game and I don't care, and getting world record anyway.
Yeah. Look, you can have a bad early game when you've got just such a good late game that it doesn't matter. Also,
Yes.
like, early game's kind of a myth. That holds true in any percent. That holds, I guess, what, 6 times as true in 112?
Yeah, depends, because like a lot of like 112 runners will talk about, you know, the dive times like going into Soul Master, when really it's much everything after Soul Master matters like way more. Like obviously in terms of like RNG time loss, Sanctum is pretty bad, but in terms of execution, most runners are losing way more everywhere else.
Yeah, for sure. It is, like I was saying, kind of that it's all relative. Like, Sanctum time loss is devastating for shorter categories, but 112 is just so much longer and has potential for so much bigger time losses that it's kind of just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, so Nightmare showing off one of the, honestly, probably like language barrier differences. The Grimkin spawned and got stuck in the ceiling there, and it's been like known, at least for the English community, that you need to cancel your C-dash earlier to bring the Grimkin out of the ceiling, just in case that happens. It's pretty interesting that there's like just so many of those small micro optimizations everywhere that sometimes just take a bit longer to get communicated on each side. And so it'll be pretty interesting to see if these like races continue, like what new things get developed and found.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting. Someone just needs to smuggle into China like a Discord account and a patch of 1221, and it'll just progress at such a rate. I want to see the Yeehoo 1221 any percentile.
Yeah, it'd be crazy because I'm pretty sure the computers over there can run it quite easily because you know you get.
I mean, Yeehoo has like NASA PC.
Yeah, like it's better than mine for sure. Mine can run 1221, so. This Overcharm is generally pretty scary going into Wraiths and No Eyes. You want to Overcharm Dreamwielder here so that we can do the No Eyes early control.
Yeah, this is one of the overcharms that I think is like low-key easier, just because it makes the KP Grimkin so much easier to just get that Dreamwielder Dream Nail and then you're chilling.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say it's easier necessarily. It's definitely like comfy in some aspects, but if you get hit, it goes really bad really fast potentially because No Eyes can be a bit of a bully.
Yeah, I guess it's unfair to say anything's comfy when No Eyes is involved, but for specifically the KP part of the split, I definitely think Wielder makes it significantly easier. Also, at Henry, we just saw the full leader I was talking about today outside Stone Sanctuary. Right. Let's go gambling.
So, we're looking for doubles, and we are not getting any of them.
Ugh. Yeah, so with no doubles there, we do unfortunately have to resort to hitting No Eyes, and this is where it can go wrong. This bottom middle part here is a safe space, which is why you kind of saw Nebula playing from there, and then going back there when he needed to react to where No Eyes moved to.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because the damage means that Nebula wasn't able to do the early control either. So on top of being really slow and having to chase No Eyes, there's no early control. Which...
Nightmare not doing the overcharm here, I guess, which is why he was short on soul. But really unfortunate pattern here.
No, Nightmare was doing the overcharm, I thought. I saw the charms. Maybe he took them off? But
I don't know. I mean, it might be overcharmed. Just I kind of expected the Grimkin to be dead if he had overcharmed.
Yeah,
but he was definitely gathering soul with his nail.
Yeah, I just think there was a mistake. I'm pretty sure Nightmare's overcharmed, which is also really scary going into Wraiths on 3 HP and like no soul.
Yeah.
But there's potential time save if No Eyes cooperates, since Nebula lost about seconds there.
Not getting any of the soul outside Stone Sanctuary. Outside, sorry, Overgrown Mound here.
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't help.
Yeah, the soul here is pretty lenient, so it'd be fine. You only need like a couple hits going in.
Yeah, I thought it was going in on 0, just I think it was a UI bug.
Yeah.
And then obviously, yeah, Wraiths does refill your soul entirely, which is nice.
Nebula about to fight Hornet 2, which is probably one of the bosses that can very easily snowball into a death, despite, you know, not being overcharmed and having more HP than some of the other bosses.
Yeah, definitely. And Hornet 2 kind of the, as you were saying about dive pickup, Hornet 2 is kind of the next big common split time marker that a lot of the 112 runners use. So hopefully we see a 57 brand here.
Yeah, it looks like Nightmare missed the Dream Nail drop and just decided to collect no eyes the normal way anyway.
Yeah, pretty clean fight though for Nightmare, not having to chase around and get soul, I think. So he will save some time here, and Nebula delaying that C-dash slightly just so he didn't slam into the fireball.
One of the other interesting things that we might get to see is the potential differences in acid skips. I know that some of the Chinese runners still opt to do a different version of the acid skip that's meant for no wings going into Hornet.
Oh, they do ACN skip?
Yes, I know some of them do, still, even knowing the other skip. ACN is slightly faster and doesn't take damage, but it is a frame perfect trick, so...
Yeah, it is significantly harder.
Yeah, and I think the wings is 4 frames, if I remember, so...
Also, just like ACN skip compared to QGA, even though they're relatively similar frame windows, QGA, if you mess it up, you just option select between the C-dash and the dash, and so you get out for free. But if you mistime the ACN skip, you just die. Well, you die. But, yeah.
Yeah, so we're seeing the 58-12 brand time. That's incredibly good still. Obviously the no ice prevented it from being, you know, like a incredible time, but still very clean overall. Nebula was only plus 0.6 on the comparison going into rates.
Yeah, and the runner's just passing through the same room there, so we can say that Nightmare is 1 Kingdom's Edge behind.
Yeah, which is a long time to be behind. You know, we're starting to get, you know, towards the middle of the run, so not as many spots where you can make up the deficit.
Yeah, and going for the wings hazard walk there. But yeah, this gap's kind of starting to look like a death and a half type thing, which is, yeah, if you're Nebula, it's a really nice lead to have. If you're Nightmare, you're starting to worry a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think Nightmare's probably too worried. Nightmare's Godhome is pretty incredible, and from what we've seen across the history of Nightmare being competitive 112 runner, has mostly been Godhome over Overworld in terms of performance, so...
Yeah, because Nightmare started off as a dedicated Pantheon runner, I believe, before he even picked up 112.
Yeah.
That was kind of where I think the Chinese community really took off, was in Pantheon ILs. And then some of them switched over to 112 as a whole.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of that was partially because of the Pantheon influence. Even more so these days.
Yeah.
Sibling climb can be a bit scary, as you see from the double damage, but Nebula opting for the safe strat there and having a pretty easy time getting up even with the annoying spawns.
Nebula unfortunately missing the lever skip.
Here we'll get to see the potential Shade Cloak early control. Bit of a tight trick. Yep, got it. The other risk with the Shade Cloak early control is if you don't cancel your C-dash fast enough, your hazard respawn hasn't updated yet, and so you get stuck in a hazard loop until you die.
Yeah, which is definitely one of the funnier deaths you can have. Thankfully,
Yeah,
a fast death, but it's still funny.
Yeah, it's like 12 seconds or something. It's just annoying. Oh.
Oh my
Hitting
god.
The right side tunnel. You love to see it. According to Monster, that's an indication of cheating, so you may have to take a look at the footage later.
It's Nebula, we're ordering you.
Fair enough.
Missing the strat there, unfortunately.
The funny knockback thing was random, so
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I knew
it's
that
not...
was like leaving the thing in time. I didn't know that was a random element.
Yeah, no, it's not consistent even with that, so it makes sense. It also makes the dream now afterwards awkward, so you actually kind of prefer to not have it happen.
Makes sense. And yeah, we just get that soul there so we can fight Troopmaster Grim, unless... Yeah, okay.
Going into this fight is one of the scarier to the run, which is the one cycle Grim. Being able to get enough shriek damage off is pretty rough and requires overturning and tanking damage. And you can't miss any ticks of shriek that aren't planned.
Yeah, because you can miss one, but there's a planned tick miss, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
When you do those two on the side, that is the one miss. But Nebula is able to hit all the other ones, and so gets the one cycle pretty cleanly. One of the recent discoveries is how very specific FPS values can make the shrieks a lot more consistent, specifically ending those two multiples of 50, but not being a multiple of 50, like 249 is a big one that most runners are using.
Yeah. We saw one of the runners in the rando tournament today was not aware of that tech, and they had to two-shriek it about.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy how much of a difference it makes. Some FPS values get like 20% for tick shrieks, and then some get like 99%, so it's a huge deal.
Yeah, and especially for enemies where that difference does change between the HP breakpoints, without it's kind of being a classic example of that, since they have 100 health, so it's between 90 and 120, between 3 and 4 ticks.
Yeah. Nebula having the Godfather break. Godfather split in between two trips now, so it's not really a big break anymore, but, you know, at least you get it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and we route in the full mask pickup here, partly because we're stuck here waiting for Grubfather to throw stuff anyway, so it's the ideal time to complete a mask and be held in place.
Unfortunate. Nightmare missed the dream nail on the front, so Nightmare won't be able to go for the one balloon Grim here. Since Nightmare is just not going to have enough soul.
to Nightmare's defense, he's been awake for like an hour and a half at this point.
Yeah, doing good for the sleep deprivation and grogginess.
It's the rise and grind. Americans can't comprehend having to do a race in the morning.
Yeah, no, I make everyone else conform to my time zones like a true American.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still a quick 2 cycle from Nightmare. You're able to get a lot of soul during the bat and make up with the Dream Nail missed. But still, you have time loss, like 10-ish seconds. And if the bat's uncooperative, it can be even worse, because you might only get like a few hits there, and you have to wait for another balloon.
Yeah, it's great when the bat just decides to travel to a different planet.
Yeah, it makes
Because you have
absolutely
so
no
little
sense to
control
me.
over you. Yeah. Especially because you're so locked in place with Cyclone, you don't have that much ability to change where you're going.
Mm.
And Pancake Man coming up.
I didn't see if is over charming, but I assume he is. One of the new strats that's been developed is the cheese on mantis lords that makes over charming here a lot safer. Yeah, it definitely looks over charmed to me. Frustrating.
Unless I can't count to 2.
But yeah, the thing Overcharm does is it gives you Twisted here, so you acting like that doesn't mean that you automatically lose. Because before, if who just teleported out of your shrieks, you just wouldn't have enough soul. You just have to wait a long time. And yeah, Crestless per Leg Eater. That was asked in chat. I know it's a bit late. Defender's Crest being equipped gives you a discount on Leg Eater's wares, since he likes the smell for some reason, and the Geo is pretty important since we're buying so much stuff in this run, and it ends up being pretty fast to just put on 1 charm.
And cleaner Pogo that time from Nebula.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Missing the side dash after the down dash. And just dunking in the spikes from Nightmare.
Yeah. There's been a few instances of it as well, but that one on Morlock there is a really nice inventory knockback cancel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, inventory
One of the
knockback
cooler
cancel
bits,
yeah, it's super cool. I'm glad they added it. It is not present on older patches.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the cooler bits of current patch tech. It's cool seeing like these little differences that have helped to give each patch its own kind of identity, rather than just feeling like the 1-2-2 one at home, as it were, and that's the Mantis Lord's cheese there. So one's already dead, and there they go.
Yep. So they always start up in that spot above the ceiling before they come in, and they just die instantly to shrieks. So it's a pretty solid fight, at least for overworld. Godhome, you're still able to do the cheese, but they're just so much tankier that they don't die instantly.
Yeah, it just knocks off a bit of their health rather than just ending the fight outright. Oh, not hitting the chest through the floor there, unfortunate. And now we're gonna Dreamgate back to do Fungal Core. And yeah, that cheese just giving us kind of reliably a good bit of health here is really nice, because the Grimkin Nightmare does do double damage, and then if we're overcharmed, obviously that makes it 4. So without the Manslord's thing, it was very easy to just kind of die if you messed up core at all.
Yeah, all true for 107%, and 112% we're banishing, so, no Grimkin
Oh,
here.
yeah. Never mind. I'm spreading misinformation.
Yeah.
112 runners are cowards.
Yeah, so 112 runners, instead of doing the tier 3 Grimkin, we overcharmed. And then if you were me running 107, I'm pretty sure I was trying to overcharm that section anyway.
I was
107.
overcharming that section. There's no way
Yeah.
you weren't.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was. I don't remember anymore though. I'm too washed.
It's been like 2 years for me, don't worry. I get it.
Yeah, I haven't ran since our race, so
Yeah, I think it was... That'd be close to when I last ran it. I'm not sure if I had a marathon after that.
the Log Canyon notch went very smoothly. It's a really fun movement once you've like practiced it. But the cyclone leaving there that Nebula did is my least favorite piece of movement in the run. It's hard to line it up and not get hit by the jellies. Like such a top runner low, since it doesn't really matter that much. But it is a really annoying piece of movement. Probably one of the hardest in the run, actually.
I personally have never missed that cyclone.
Doing the fast version of it. If you've never missed
I
it,
just
it's
haven't
like,
attempted it.
yeah, fair enough. I'm pretty sure it's like a 1 or 2 frame window for the releasing to not have an RNG chance of getting hit.
Yeah, checks out. Right, in nice manslaughs from Nightmare. I haven't been paying attention to Nebula's Umu RNG, but it looked bad.
I think it was fine. I'm pretty sure it was like slow, but no extra. But I don't remember.
Yeah. Overworld Umu is definitely by far the least bad in this run, especially because we do one cycle it, so it's half as much chance for it to just ruin you.
Missing that D-Dark is pretty painful. You really do want that cast. Soul is it's a plentiful commodity, but you need a lot of it in this upcoming split with the arena and walls and other arena and Marmu and that's all coming up.
Yeah, QG is pretty rough. Is it overcharmed?
It is not overcharmed because of frogs.
Yeah.
It is,
I assume that was...
yeah, it's one of the overcharms that will happen eventually, but it's just not very worth in its current state, since there's not really a whole lot you would even want to overcharm.
Yeah, and no one wants to be the first one to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, frogs are cringe enough without overcharm.
Yeah, pretty much the only thing you'd be picking up is Wielder on that overcharm. Or, Twister. I don't remember which one we have. So just getting just Wielder or just Twister is just not very fun for having to do overcharm frogs and this drop and everything else on 1 health bar.
How much of a reliance on RNG essence is there in this run?
Yeah, so there is a fair amount of reliance on it. Nebula goes for the extra essence on the root, which means that there's like a very low chance that you're ever short. It is something you have to watch out for. Like, you know, 1 in like 10, 1 in 12 runs, you'll probably be short 1. So it's just something you have to be like aware of, because if you aren't aware when you're short, it's a really bad time loss. But if you know ahead of time, it's only a couple seconds.
Yeah, just I noticed Nebula did get 1 RNG essence drop there, and Nightmare decided to take less from the root. So, yeah, Nebula will have that slight advantage there if Nightmare ends up having to get essence.
Yeah, the essence that Nightmare got from the root, I'm pretty sure it's about a 50% chance that you're short. which is why most runners just get the extra essence. Because if you are short, you have to go Dream Knell, the tree, and Resting Grounds and wait a few seconds. So it's just kind of faster on average to get the extra essence while it's already spawned. But it does feel really good when you get lucky.
It really is just the classic Hollow Knight strat. Just get lucky.
But I'm pretty sure my math on the Dream Gates when I did all the percentages was wrong because we didn't know about the funny bug from White Defender.
The White Defender, yeah.
Yeah. If you Dream Gate out of a dream, your next Dream Gate doesn't cost essence and goes faster. So it's really cool that Team Cherry did that, and we didn't know about that for years.
And Nebula getting Love Key there, which is whatever room in 112, but in Rando is maybe the coolest room in the game. And third try guessing the correct grub there. Everyone seems to get it third try.
1205 is actually pretty high from Nebula, so Nebula's chilling. I'm pretty sure you're looking 1204. Normally, at that point. Essence-wise, and then Nightmare's at 1201 right now, and has one more Dream Gate to go. So, gonna need some luck coming in Kalos. Kalos is where most of the RNG essence is from. Since you kill the most enemies there.
Yeah. Plus we have Wielder on for it, right?
Yeah, but you have Wielder on here as well. So.
Yeah.
Just a very good charm. Make sure Dream Knell go like 0.6 seconds faster, and also double soul. So it's like almost 2.5 times as efficient. Maybe more.
At least one. Right, and Nebula opening the lever here and then taking this spot to heal because you have to delay slightly before you leave the room anyway, otherwise the block doesn't open, which is a really fun discovery to make in Flower Quest.
Yeah, so specifically, if you dash 2 times after hitting the lever, it will open in Flower, and it'll be locked. If you only dash 1 time, you're always safe, but you can just instead heal and do the 2 dashes, and it makes up for itself a little bit.
It's just one of those ways of sneaking in is slightly cheaper than full time loss heal. It's only like a slight difference, but
yeah,
it's one of those things where if you're gonna heal at all, it is cheaper than full time.
Yeah. Especially because a lot of runners will just heal if they're not full HP at all there, which is pretty easy to be not full HP. There's just so many things that can hit you. Most of them are like avoidable and not RNG, but it's still pretty hard to execute this section cleanly.
Speaking of, unfortunate dunk there from Nebula.
Yeah, that cyclone's really rough. It's pretty hard to do. So is this drop in Deep Nest, one of the harder rooms. But got through pretty cleanly.
The any percent runner in him starting to show.
One thing you'll notice is Nebula put the Dream Gate slightly on the left there, and that's an intentional setup to make the movement going past the Devout later just line up perfectly. So just another one of those like small micro optimizations.
Right, and really good beast in here. Such a quick trap bench cutscene.
I know, right? I blinked and I didn't even see it.
And a wonderful devout skip. 80% runners are the real frauds, clearly, because he just made that look easy.
Yeah. I don't know where all the 80% runners lose so much time to.
Yeah.
And it's only 1-2-2-1 as well. Like on LP, I see the 80% runners also just go through really quick too.
All 80% runners these days know is Den quit out, split they leaderboard, and lie. Right, and Nightmare on full health there, so just doing the 1-dash walkout. And one of the big downsides to 112 is we do have to save all the grubs.
Yeah, so unfortunately no leaving Den Grub in the jar to suffer.
Extremely unfortunate.
That Grub is single-handedly responsible for... I don't remember which pest run it was that like messed it up. But it was like a big like second barrier or something that was missed because Pest went to hit the Grub, messed it up, and then got owned on the spider cycle after.
Classic. Further proof grubs can't be trusted.
They'll stab you in the back.
Yeah. Hopefully in Silksong they make killing Myler a percent, so we can't just skip it.
You were going for the devout double and missing it, but unfortunate. Looked like the lineup wasn't right. Devout double is like a bit RNG, but it saves a lot of time if you're able to get it, so...
Yeah, through this whole section, our soul routing's pretty important, so the double just saving a cast is really nice.
Well, it's not about the saving a cast, because you have the Shriek and Shade Soul. It's just like, doing the Shade Soul double gives you a better lineup on your dashes and not having the Shriek animation. It's a pretty minor thing. Because it's still
Nebula
2 casts
farming
away.
wall jumps.
Yeah, true. Nebula wall jump moment, for sure. HP here kind of matters a bit. This is a pretty easy overcharm. It's one of the oldest ones. It's pretty safe. But if Zod Arena goes really wonky, then like potentially we'll see something. But for the most part, I would imagine that the biggest potential risk or hurdle coming up for a while is going to be Hive.
Yeah, and then Nosk, of course, being a potential time loss, but not really a potential like big risk in the same way that Hive is.
Yeah. Especially if we don't see the Nosk overcharm. We see the Nosk overcharm, then maybe.
What do you overcharm? Is it Dashmaster?
It is Dashmaster, yeah. It's one of those funny overcharms that saves almost nothing and feels really bad to do. But then once you do it once, it feels really bad to drop.
Classic.
So here we're seeing the arena done in a specific way because you only need to kill them in pairs of 2s to spawn the next wave. So there's like a very specific priority order because the last 4 don't matter how fast you kill them. It's just about killing 2 at a time as fast as possible to spawn the next wave.
Yeah, that's changed a lot since I last saw it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I kind of got sick of losing time there. And looked at the code and found out exactly what was required to spawn the waves and worked out a solution. It's a lot of the strats in 112, how they've been discovered. Eventually someone just gets fed up with losing time and goes, checks the FSMs, and figures it all out.
Alright, no overcharm here from Nebula. Very understandable.
Yeah. I don't even know if Nebula goes for it. I'm pretty sure it was like one of those funny things that like I only did.
Personally, I'd just finish a run.
Yeah, that's another one of those funny things I didn't do.
Yeah. Look, if you consider your monitor to be world record, you did beat world record.
Yeah, that is true. Just like me tassing any percent was me also having any percent world record.
Yeah. Hopefully we see a run to the left here from Nosk. And now we're going to see a jump into the ceiling. No, we got the good gambling.
Yep.
Yeah, so the fight's just done.
Yep.
Classic.
The Nosk moment. Yeah, Nosk, it's like a game of like tic-tac-toe, where if Nosk does anything but go in the corner as X, Nosk instantly loses, so... Nosk, if they, like, jump up or whatever, Nosk can be annoying, but if Nosk runs left, it's game over.
Yeah, Nebula has had quite good RNG so far.
Yeah, only thing has been,
I'm afraid
the no eyes.
if he gets the perfect white defender RNG as well, we're gonna have to check the disc.
Yep.
Was that a backup cycle there from Nebula, or was that a new fast cycle?
That's just the way to do the fast cycle. There's a faster cycle, but Nebula didn't go for it. Where you can go damageless on the bottom, but it's really annoying.
No quit out, you'll have to see it.
Yeah, you are able to put out of Sharp Shadow and put on Sharp Shadow, and it's not that much slower. But getting the Sharp Shadow cycle is without taking damage. You just pretty much don't want to quit out.
Yeah. I just like the movement for the non-quit out version.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
It's always nice seeing it.
These cycles are really satisfying to pick up because they're not too hard and they're pretty, like, involved at least, so. Kingdom's Edge and Hive is fast approaching. Is well known for having a pretty painful overtime that saves a lot of time to do. It's like ballpark of like 12 seconds to overcharm Hive in City. So
do we do quick slash before Hive now?
So you do quick slash is before Hive, yes, in this category.
Yeah.
It's the reason it was different for in 107 is because the Grimkin in Hive makes the charms weird. But you want to do Hive after quick slash, so that way you can do flukes.
Yeah, yeah.
And not have to swap your charms bunch.
Keep the same charms for this section through to quick slash anyway, right? Because it's just the full movement loadout.
So Nightmare got nosked. This is one of those other like things that's just like hard to execute, and one of those things that I feel like in the West, like I've done a lot of writing about, but just like you really want to save cast, because if Nosk goes in the ceiling, you can actually like one-shot Nosk. Because Nosk gets multied a lot in the ceiling. So there's like some RNG mitigation there that could have happened for sure, but for the most part it was just pretty unlucky.
Yeah, I think he was also just playing it a bit safe just because he was on 2 and I'm pretty sure he was overcharmed.
Yeah. The overcharm's like fine if you do the RNG mitigation like right, but it's one of those things where the overcome really punishes you for not executing perfectly, like it does in a lot of spots.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when a lot of these overcharms don't save that much time.
Yeah.
If you do end up having to play it safe at all, you're basically going to be losing time. Especially if you end up having to heal, that just straight up loses a second and a half. And if you end up having to heal twice to recover one hit, basically, then you're just losing so much.
Yeah, for sure. 112 is one of those things where you have to like really carefully evaluate like where you're at in terms of consistency, because a lot of strats are just not worth going for.
Yeah, definitely. And especially in
was
such a
super
long
close.
run, consistency is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
Yeah, it's a lot better to do wings there. The double pogo gets a little bit tight with getting out of the guard period, but hopefully we didn't see a death there.
Yeah, Nightmare keeping it just within 3 minutes so far, so very grateful not to see a death. And nice mark off from Nebula. And grabbing our soul there. Alright, the movement in this room's really cool.
Oh, unfortunate.
Never mind.
Good backup though.
Yeah.
Yeah, ideally the dashes line up a little bit differently there, but thankfully Nebula was able to recover and not get hit by any of the hoppers. Health doesn't really matter since Nebula went pretty much damageless earlier. But if the Horms are uncooperative and the bees are annoying, you can often be like 2 HP going into quick slash.
An E section with enemies and spikes in close proximity like is coming up is always a little bit of a cause for concern, just because you can take that couple of damage really quick.
Yeah. Quick slash is just one of those like really optimized rooms. Like most runners have spent tons of time in here, so you'll see pretty good movement most of the time.
Yeah, and Nebula spacing that dash slash really particularly to avoid some extra hoppers spawning in, which is pretty tight. And then that nice underplat there.
Yeah, the hopper spawn on this patch is only 1 frame that you can skip it.
Yeah.
So most runners are prepared to deal with the hoppers coming down. On older patches, you can dash slash the grub from further away, so. And this is the one thing I was talking about, where you can be 2 HP, and we're not even at the bees yet.
Yeah. Also, the quick slash room itself is really cool. The movement for that, I've spent a lot of time labbing. The very start of the room, like right where you get to the more open area, you want to do kind of a coyote jump to get out, and then if you get that, it makes the whole room just work really well. Right, and using Shriek there and Cyclone on the breakable walls, just because flukes do not break objects.
Yeah, Fluke's Hive is one of those developments that was like, everyone kind of knew it would happen eventually, and people were hesitant on it, just because of the walls. It didn't seem like Hive Knight was going to be that good, but with some strats you'll see in the Hive Knight fight, it became a lot faster to do flukes here.
Yeah, I was definitely apprehensive about adding flukes to stuff, just because it just has so many idiosyncrasies that don't necessarily transfer universally between bosses, but yeah, it was surprisingly good. And then Nebula didn't actually need it, but we do time a health, a marsh upgrade here, just because in addition to not being able to quit out of them, mask upgrades also refill our health, for its shards don't. So it's just a really nice health refill going into Hive Knight normally, in case you have a rough Hive.
Especially because we're carrying this HP from Hive Knight into Collector and City, so...
Oh, true, yeah.
It's really important to not take a lot of damage. But yeah, that Dream Nail into the Flukes at the start is like the biggest reason Flukes are used here. It just does so much damage, and like Hive Knight's already dead. So it makes up for the
really good fun.
tiny time losses on the wall. Yeah, Nebula is currently ahead of comparison again. And flipping back between the comparisons, Nebula's pretty clearly aware that he's on a bit of a banger pace.
Crazy how this is going to be 254 in a marathon.
Yeah.
Sorry, in a race.
Yeah, Nebula really pulling out all the cheats this time. Instead of just the wall jumps. Here we're about to see the Collector quick kill. Very meticulously lab movement to skip the scream and do perfect amount of Flukes damage to avoid staggering.
This is a really cool fight. One that is also made easier by the, well, not necessarily easier, but more consistent by the discoveries regarding particular frame rates.
Yep. And then the Fly just sitting on the outside, ready to give all the soul while we wait for Collector. Just one of the most hyper-optimized, like, strats, where all the soul gets used perfectly and gets instantly refilled during the wait. Just no downtime.
Yeah, this was one of those sections where I hated it, and then I spent kind of hours just doing this section, learning the fight, and now I kind of love it.
Yeah, this is, even though this section doesn't have Dash Master, it's honestly like a pretty welcome break. Like, everything's really satisfying. It's all quick kills, there's not a lot of RNG. It's just a very fun part of the run.
Ooh, just misspacing that shriek there.
Yeah. Good backup. On this patch, you don't have to worry about it as much, but on older patches, when you would fluke that guard, you throw the guard from further to the left, and you can actually soft lock. Because if you kill the guard while the gate's... Yeah, if you kill the guard while the gate's coming down, then the gate won't come up. And yeah, it can happen on this patch as well, but it's just a lot more rare.
Yeah, Flukes is kind of just universally broken, but is somewhat unique in that it ends up being broken in different ways on each patch.
It's really funny
classic elevator.
Base patch has like the most balanced Flukes in the game.
Yeah.
Like every other patch has significantly less balanced Flukes that are just really OP in one way or another. Coming up for Nebula, we have Watcher's Fight, which is also another one of those solve fights where there's very specific Flukes that you shoot at very specific times.
That is one of the most feels bad C-dashes, just because you get so many freeze frames.
Missing that Dream Nail on both Watchers can be a little bit rough going into White Defender, but with the Overcharm, it doesn't affect the kill.
Also, 1 health into Hive Knight.
Yeah, we might see a quit out or something here, because you have to take 2 damage to Collector. We killed during the bees here? Okay. Ooh, farm some soul, but at the cost of not being able to see anything. Yeah. If Nightmare doesn't quit out here, Nightmare's committing to having to heal somewhere or be 1 HP for the rest of the section going into Lurian.
Yeah, it looked like he waited up there, but he's committing.
Yeah.
And how bad is taking a heal off the Collector? Like you do the Dream Nails on the fly and then off a heal or 2?
you're losing a few seconds getting extra dream nails and spots. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's like the big concern is if you miss the collector quick throw here, you're in a really bad spot because the flag jars don't respawn.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just can't miss
Just
the
don't
scream
mess
skip.
it up.
Like, if this is a normal run, like I'm not sweating because the only way that like this goes bad is a way that would have killed my run anyway. But
That is a different setup, not pre-fluking.
yeah, skipping the pre-fluke is like fine. End up having to do that though. Like that's the thing the pre-fluke solves. Is if you miss a shriek tick, you don't miss the full quick kill.
Right, yeah. And able to heal up there without really losing much time.
Yeah, partially due to the extra dream now on collector. But should be in a spot where this is like pretty manageable. Just hit the big thing of hitting that scream skip.
Yeah.
Collector scream
Also,
skip is it's probably one of like the biggest, like, it's not super hard, but it feels super bad to miss because you don't have shade still to clear out all the spawns. It's just really awkward getting the damage in and living.
Yeah, definitely. 1795 essence, and we're expecting, I guess, what, 7 essence drops from Colo?
It's 6 is the estimated.
6. Oh yeah, from Nailsmith to White Defender, yeah.
Yep, and there's one more Dreamgate exiting Nail Smith. The Dreamgate exiting Colors doesn't count because of the glitch that's gonna happen in White Defender. Some people might be wondering as well about why the Overcharmed UI hasn't been happening for most of the run for both runners. If you open your inventory to change charms when loading in from a save quit, it prevents the Overcharmed UI from popping up. So it means that despite being Overcharmed for most of the run, the UI is just not there, since you pretty much do most of your menuing from a quit out.
Which is, apart from the obvious of you're already on a bench, quitting out menuing you can do without losing any time. Like, you're stuck on the bench for the first bit of the load in, which is also where you'll see earlier on in the run, like, we split some menuing across quit outs, just so we're only menuing in the part where we're stuck on the bench anyway.
Nightmare opting
White
for
Defender here.
easier watchers for less White Defender soul. Just see Nebula has full going in. That's the good attack right there. When White Defender throws the balls of dung, White Defender gets multi-hit from the flukes.
Yeah, and a second one there. They're probably expecting a scream now. Might as well just kill outright.
Yeah, so because it was pretty low damage on the juggle, that meant that you could go for scream skip that way instead. But normally the other thing you can do is you can juggle White Defender longer and set up some flukes and go for a scream skip as well that way. White Defender scream skip or skip is really important because White Defender spends a lot of time underground after screaming, which is where there's a lot of energy.
Skip kind of the go-to now rather than regular scream skip.
With the Overcharm, you're able to hit scream skip off a juggle pretty consistently. So, like, if you get the juggle, that's kind of what you're going for. If you don't get the juggle, then you're anticipating a scream skip. But there's like, scream skip's a lot more consistent because, like, we figured out why, like, White Defender does the dolphin instead of screaming sometimes. It's based off proximity to the wall. So there's just a lot more solved questions about White Defender and screaming, and so it's just a lot more consistent overall.
Yeah, because I know it used to be kind of crap.
Yeah. It was definitely a big pain point.
Also, that edge climb is such a nice rune tile.
Yeah, same thing with these hoppers as well. They're pretty fun when they don't get stuck.
Big win.
So yeah, entering Kalos now for Nebula. Kalos can be a pretty big time swing spot. They're generally super optimized, and like single mistakes can lose a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely, and like just making sure you're killing things right as they're spawning in is a deceptively large amount of time save.
Yeah, a good runner can lose like maybe 10 seconds to some of the best Kalos on a like run, and so anytime where you're making mistakes, it feels really bad, or if you're getting unlucky, just because there's such a high expected bar.
But yeah, Nebula still on a really good pace. He's still gaining time of world record. Obviously, Reki has a very good Godhome, but you know, if you're Nebula, you're still very happy with the position you've put yourself in.
Nebula was always fine on Essence Sauce. Certainly worried about his Nightmare's Essence, because Nightmare went for less Essence.
Oh, he did the flies from the wall. That's interesting.
Yeah. Flies from the platform is a little bit easier to execute that version, but Nebula still got the fast fly kill, so it doesn't matter that much. Pretty clean color run so far. Pretty much all the optimal strats. Just like one could have been changed a little bit, but it's like a half a second. So the RNG check is coming up. It's Zote and Does Mothers. Yeah, Nebula opting for the Straight Soul version, which has like faster potential times, but there's also a Shriek version as well. Time for the hardest boss. You see, it's funny because that used to be a joke, but Zote Click Kill is one of the hardest things. Nebula went for the easier version where you don't go for the cancel, which saves like another like second and a half, but
The what cancel?
so there is a like ceiling on the gate, and if Zote bonks that ceiling, Zote lands faster, and because it's in slow motion, Zote landing faster saves like a second and a half, because the
What a
thing
cool
doesn't
boss.
end until Zote lands. So yeah, incredibly niche knowledge and tech that no one would ever know about until I timed it. Oh, that flying guy, sometimes a bit annoying.
Hollow 2 is one of those ones that's really nice when it works, but just feels bad when those flying guys just miss. I think the winged fools are some of the most just like annoying enemies, just because if you go off script, they have so much health that you just lose a ton of time.
Yeah. Really fun though, like, outside of, oh, that was close. Outside of all those, like, pretty annoying. The gloves pattern is pretty solid, only a couple of things can happen. So, overall, Apollo is pretty consistent, and it's pretty satisfying. A lot less downtime than Call 1.
Yeah, I
one
think
has
Colo 2 and 3 are definitely way more fun than Colo 1.
Yeah,
Colo
Colo
1's
1.
fun in like Zote percent.
There's like a set of platforms that spawn in Colo 1 that genuinely take 20 seconds.
Yeah. No, but you need the dramatic, like, ooh, removing platforms, ooh, adding platforms, ooh, removing other platforms.
I just think it's because there's like the spikes on the bottom and they want to give like new players a chance to not fall on them. It's crazy. Interesting to see what strats Nebula does here. They can affect the soul a lot. Okay, Nebula went for the high soul strat, where you throw that guy with nails. So now Nebula has more soul to work with going into obels, since they like to fly around and be annoying. Decent obels. Really great, but probably not a time loss. Okay. Nebula is going really safe on the health here. And also going for the
Left side?
left side. That's interesting. Left side is like just mathematically worse, but
Yeah, because
I
it's
think-
closer to the wall, right?
yeah, I think it's because Nebula was already on the left and they didn't think they could get over in time.
Yeah.
So probably just went for it with the heal and everything.
It worked. And then
Yeah.
Nightmare doing the Shriek Cosmos.
Yeah, I like Rico's moms a lot, but it's not like an objective thing, like the up wobbles are. I do not have the exact difference, but I can check it in a second.
About 1 Colo 2.
Yeah, at 1:33:11. So we're looking at almost exactly 4 minutes of time difference. Yeah, it's 4 minutes and 3 seconds. Currently. Logs can be pretty annoying, but they've gotten a lot better. Runners have just gotten really good at killing them super fast. 116 on that wave is really good. So Nebula's set up in a good spot to have a really solid set of callers. 311 caller 1, 335 caller 2. So, like, pretty much exactly what you would hope for.
Yeah, been really solid so far.
That Petra is
Never
really
mind.
annoying. It's still really good, even with that Petra being frustrating. Especially getting that double dash slash. They don't like to cooperate.
Definitely one of those
that's
things
cool.
where, like,
That was a cool mistake kill. That's new. I haven't seen that one. Sanctum Wave is one of the big make or break moments for this Colo. Seem to be spawning decently.
oh,
Till the end there. Nebula's not gonna heal just because Nebula's gonna have a really good heal spot in a second.
Yep, and intentionally just clipping the Lesser Morlex there with the edge of a Cyclone, just so that the splash of the D-Dart kills. And then yeah, this is the heal opportunity.
Yeah, we run Dream Wielder here, so you can get so much soul off these Garpedes. You're pretty much always full soul going into the next wave, which is really important because it's one of the hardest waves in terms of execution. It's the long, flawless section. Really easy to go from full HP to 0.
Yeah, definitely.
Particularly
and this is just where
ovals.
This is just where the obbles and the winged fools having so much health does just make them that bit harder. Just all the other flawless enemy sections, you can just kill them with one Shade Soul or one Great Slash or something, like this one here. And so it just isn't even a wave really, but having to worry about using other spells or working in extra hits just makes it that bit more complex. And we're mostly just trying to not get hit here, and trying to guide frogs into the spikes where we can. And then yeah, the last ones, then we take a more proactive stance on killing them.
Yeah. Nightmare's Call to Wind Descent, seeing a build on his splits was a 335 as well, so matching Nebula's Call 2, that's a really solid time.
Yeah, for sure. And then yeah, this last section of Colo 3 is very consistent, I like it. It's probably my favorite part of Colos.
Yeah, Colos are really satisfying once you've like learned them thoroughly and you get all the quick kills and you just don't make any mistakes really and just get really clean times. Getting the final chain now. Sure. Soul's all set up for Great Prince out. Looks like
unfortunate dunk from Nightmare.
Yeah, it looks like Nightmare missed the setup on that wave, which can get pretty annoying pretty fast.
And then yeah, Nightmare not killing those heavy fools there just because they die to the Bellflies, and you're on that timer anyway, so you're not gaining anything by killing them. You're just gonna top up on soul and then let the Bellflies do their job.
Yep. Looks like frogs went pretty okay. A lot of time lost from the earlier wave, but 121, about 5 seconds slower than Nebula had at the start. So just an example of how like one caller wave going a bit poorly just loses a lot of time.
Alright, third try inventory drop there from Nebula, but getting it. That's one of the really important inventory drops. It just saves so much time.
Yeah, the Great Prince Overcharm is, it's something. Not taking that final damage on that sword swing, just because kills you. You mess it up. Overall, you rough Zote split just because of the inventory drop.
And now we're gonna go get that upper green path cleanup that we were talking about earlier. And hitting the bell now in advance, just so we don't have to wait for that calling animation when we do need the stag later.
Yeah, that's another one of the routing things, is I'm trying to avoid waiting at stags. That's the new development that makes getting that grub fast, is just dash slashing it through the gate. Which is one of the things that they tried to patch out, but they just must have missed that one.
And this is a cool strat here as well.
Yeah.
Doing the down dash dash slash into a sharp shadow kill.
Yeah, Nebula messed up the movement going into it a little bit, but was able to recover it quite smoothly. Which is one of the nice things about down dash slash for going sideways.
Yeah. And then, yeah, this is another one of the big 107, 112 differences. So we're actually banishing the Grim Troop here.
Yeah, because Grim are mocked in Pantheons anyway, and the requirement is all Pantheon bosses, not all bosses, so...
And Nightmare wasting a cast there, and so having awkward soul routing for the second half of that flawless section, but he actually dealt with it really well. Managed to work in some nail hits, so he's managed to save it quite nicely.
Yeah. And Nebula waited at the end of that room there to avoid getting the white screen, since if you leave too early, the white screen won't go away, and you'd have to do the movement blind, and also it's a major glitch.
And then dunking twice, that's not because of a white screen, that's just a mistake.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be so much cooler if you were doing this room in the dark?
I feel like Nebula would have taken less damage if Nebula wasn't looking at all the damage she was taking.
Yeah. If you just don't see the damage, did it really happen?
Yep. If Knight gets hit in the force, then no one's around to see it. Did it actually happen? What is Nightmare's essence here? We should pay attention next time. Unfortunately, this dream gate we won't be able to see because this is the funny dream gate, but I don't know if Nightmare knows how much essence they have either, or yes. Is Nightmare's 2101? Okay. Nightmare's 2101, then Nightmare's good.
Right. And Nebula's a real one, so we should see the victory lap here.
Yeah. No.
No, he's had to bail.
Had to avenge.
Invalid run.
You know what's funny is you can almost do a victory lap on False Knight, but I'm pretty sure there's a gate in the way.
Out to the right and then climb up, drop down.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's a gate. Petition for Team Cherry to remove the gate and slightly elongate the False Knight stagger time so we can fit in the victory lap.
Nightmare not going for the wielder over charm, opting to fight Grey Prince out with less soul, but potentially some more HP. You never know with that boss though. That was a good fight.
Yeah, probably saved time to Nebula there. I didn't actually see if he got first try inventory drop, but
it was second try.
The fight itself looked good.
Yeah, I lost 1 second, but that's just because wielder. Especially considering Nebula almost died to Grey Prince, so you definitely take only losing 1 second. Nice.
Yeah, Nightmare 2401 essence, so all good on his behalf.
Yep. Never punished. But yeah, it's really good that Nebula didn't get hit before Flower, because having to take the bench and respawn the enemy is super annoying. Loses way more than you think it would. It's like 4 seconds or something.
Big moment of truth here. Flower Quest being one of the big potential time losses, and especially Trader Lord.
Yeah, this is pretty much the last spot that Nightmare has to catch up before Godhome. Unless something horribly goes wrong. Like, even something like messing up Lifeblood Core or dying in White Palace is pretty manageable compared to the Trader Lord death.
Yeah, the Trader Lord death is like one White Palace, and that's not even factoring in that, like, any death you just have to redo one atrium or just the ending.
Yep. Yeah, White Palace deck is surprisingly not that bad. Trader Lord used to be a lot better, because we used to get these stag, or we used to do Trader Lord early, but these days, Trader Lord is really terrible. But thankfully, oh, that's not very good, missing that Sharp Shadow. But, yeah, thankfully Trader Lord's not too hard these days, with all the HP and upgrades and stuff.
Alright. Moment of truth for Nebula.
Yo, let's
Nice.
go. Nebula hit the good cycle. Nebula's also hella rich on Essence, 2408. Flower Quest is always one of those things that's way more nervous to watch as the viewer than to do as the runner. Because
Yeah, for
we've
sure.
done flowers so many times that they pretty much know they're rarely, if ever, gonna mess up. Whereas as a viewer, you just kind of have no control over the situation, especially if you don't even know where you're going. Oh, missed the fast D-Dark.
Always terrifying. D-Darking in the wrong spot in that room. Just on the
Yeah.
off chance that you do just clip a Uma.
Yeah, because you can accidentally hit an Uma from the D-Dark, and you can also land in that alcove where the exploding
Yeah, the
bubbles are.
core thingy, yeah.
But yeah, it's starting to almost look like we might have to get our Simos out for the Godhome entry.
Thank God foreshadowing isn't real.
Nebula going for the
And
safety
electing
shriek.
to shriek there.
Oh, that Mossy was on a warpath. Okay. Flower is done. There's
I
still
can't believe Nebula didn't do the fast strat in this room. That sucks.
Oh yeah, if you do like the neutral wings dash, you have this tiny window where you can get an extra dash off, but if you're late on it, your Sharp Shadow comes up too early and launches you into the spikes. It's a pretty fun strat, I would recommend.
Yeah. It's P.
Yeah.
Anyone
This
telling you
climb-
not to do it is just trying to stop you from saving time and getting a free world record.
This climb is super fun, but the Petras coming down are super annoying.
Yeah, also just if you go off script at all, the Petras can be a pain in the ass.
Yep. Executing the script perfectly.
Nice.
That's a new Nebula strat, a new underplat to make up for the Crystal Peak one being gone.
And standing in a specific spot there just to manipulate the spawn of these guys.
Yep.
And we're able to pre-fluke them quite heavily just because they like phase in and out of existence before they spawn. And
Nebula
then,
hit the
that's why
strat.
flukes is just so good.
Yeah, flukes are crazy because they're double hitting Trader Lord in the ceiling, and then you're getting all the flukes on the bottom during the scream, and you're able to insta-kill Trader Lord. It's one of the reasons why we swapped to flukes for Flower, just so that we could have them for Trader Lord. But we're pretty much in the end game for overworld here. Just a lot of shopping and then some fun movement like White Palace and Void Heart Climb.
The Abyss Climb at home.
Void Heart Climb is so much better than Abyss Climb, and I will always stand by it. And I can't even... You can't even say it's, oh, just because you run 1XX, because I also ran all skills. It's just a better climb.
Okay, but Void Heart Climb's a pain in the ass to practice, because if you load save state, the room just gets darker.
Yeah, you have to actually finish the climb each time before you save state.
Yeah.
But
yeah, great.
if you're good, it's easy to practice. So just be good. Oh no!
Oh.
Yeah. That fly and that cycle is the scariest part of Flower for that reason.
Nightmare could sense you gatekeeping.
Yep. One thing you can do is you can just finish the cycle anyway and get the mask shard and then quit out, and then you don't have to worry about it next time. But because Nightmare didn't do that, Nightmare's gonna have to decide whether or not to try that again. Thankfully, the depth is not quite as bad as it looks because a lot of the time was spent shopping at Salubra, which does not have to be repeated.
Yeah, for sure. The only real downside is just actually having to deal with that guy in crypts. It's really funny when you forget that. So you mess up, die to lose flower, get the new flower, and then instantly C-dasher that guy and have to get another flower.
Yeah, it's probably like one of the most tilting things that can happen in the run. It just feels very frustrating to make a mistake like that. It's just like, oh, I never would have made that mistake if I had just not made the first one.
Yeah. Especially when, like, you were ahead enough that the first flower fail, you're like, yeah, this is just winnable, like, I can do this. And then you get the second one that's like, oh, okay, whatever.
It's a little bit right to run it back. And make the cycle. Oh my god. That was so close. Yeah, I was saying couldn't make it because when you stop that C-dash that far right, it's just so tight, but Nightmare doesn't
Had a
care.
point to prove. Yeah.
So Nebula just finishing up shopping, getting ready to head into White Palace here. Probably one of the most fun parts of the run, for sure, in terms of movement. It's pretty hard to find someone who runs 112 a lot and doesn't like White Palace. Like, a lot of runners don't like it because it's easy to lose time, but pretty much every runner can appreciate the movement when it goes well.
And just satisfying. It's one of the few very low variance parts of 112 that's still got a lot of skill expression.
Yeah, it's essentially no RNG, especially if you do the King's Mold skills correctly. And it's just very high execution, very fast paced, all the movements pretty good. Really fun cycles. So. And also it's high stakes too. Like, dunking can lose a lot of time in some spots.
Yeah, definitely one of those ones where A, you have to put a lot of practice in, but B, you actually feel rewarded for putting a lot of practice in. It's not just, oh yeah, I put the practice in, so now I don't just die sometimes, and so you're not really benefiting, you're just not losing. Whereas White Palace, like, you get faster, you save cycles, so you actually see an improvement as well.
Yeah, especially if you're starting to go for some of those IL cycles, like hitting like the Balcony 3 Saw Tunnel Pogo for the first time is just super exhilarating.
Yeah, and a Balcony 2, I think it is, has a really nice cycle, that climb.
Balcony 2 has a really good cycle as well.
Yeah, and left atrium 1? No, 2 is one I'm
The
thinking
scary
of.
one.
I like.
Yep. Yeah. 1 is also pretty good. Just White Palace is so peak, and Shogo removed the like rooms I didn't care
The
about.
worst
So
room. Yeah.
for people who don't know, Shogo is the Shriek Pogo that is done to skip the right side of White Palace. Saves about 30 seconds, like a 4-frame window. Expect to see it first or second try. Not quite hitting
Nice
the
trigger ward.
RNG list trigger ward, but still getting the good RNG, so getting a fast one anyway. Left side atrium 1. Goes right side on that. But oh, that's unfortunate.
Ooh.
Yeah, a lot of
Resetting the room here.
reset room.
With how cycle-based everything is, it's just... You're often just faster being able to stay on script.
Yeah. Dunking in LA2 just happens sometimes. So, taking those 2 dunks, it is a pretty substantial time loss, but White Palace also just has like really high
Did he
standards.
hit that lever?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see the orb glow right here. Or no, we won't see it glow yet, but I guess we'll find out in a second.
Okay, yeah, no. Alright, first try Shogo there. Yeah, he did. Okay. I don't know why I thought he didn't.
On and way to start his shopping right now. Yeah, 224, 225 isn't that good here, but don't really need a good White Palace, just need to get through it.
Good room.
Aw, really good balcony too. And let's go, balcony 3.
Yo. Really good balcony so far. Okay, now entering the Gruffy White Palace incident room.
Yeah, this is the last room anything can happen in. And we'll see another Shogo here. Let's go.
And first try.
That Shogo
It's
only
one of those
saves a
ones
half
that-
second.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't get it first try, you're losing time, but it's cool.
Yeah, hitting the balcony 3 into the final Shogo there in balcony 4 is just... it's peak adrenaline.
Yeah. Rough left atrium, really good balcony.
Yeah.
Kind of averages out.
Yeah, 337, it's not what you're really looking for in a White Palace, but it's very suitable for what pace this is. It's not time save, it's not that bad of a time loss though.
Yeah, he's kind of earned himself some
Yeah.
wiggle room with his really good overworld so far.
Yeah. White Palace is just one of those things where you just kind of accept that even though there's no RNG, there's going to be times where it doesn't go well. And Nightmare just has to grab the charms from Sly and then we'll be entering it themselves.
We have more notches here in 112, do we?
A lot more in 112, yes, and that's why 112 is able to run all these fancy charms.
Movement charms, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because 107, I think we just have health charms in King Soul.
Yeah, I think 107, I also don't think finishes shopping yet and is 8 mask, but I don't remember.
Yeah, because I know we need to run
106.
heart as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. Ooh. Unfortunate hard fall. Was picking up the egg there to finish paying for the nail upgrade before entering Godhome after this. And Nightmare is starting White Palace, good King's Mold. It'll be interesting to see what cycles Nightmare goes for, since I'm not super aware of what is his current strats these days. Since there's really a lot of options in White Palace. On the right, you have a better Abyss Climb.
go the Abyss Climb at home. I expected better from Nebula, honestly.
Yeah, maybe I messed up the start a little bit, but it happens, especially with, I'm sure nerves are starting to kick in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's race nerves and there's world record pace nerves, and he's managed to double dip.
Yeah, it's really interesting because this is kind of like the point where nerves are peaking because the run slows down a bit before entering Godhome, and then like the nerves like slowly settle out, like going into Pantheon 2, 3, 4, and then they pick up right again for Pantheon 5 as you go through that cutscene. Just any time that there's downtime just gives you time to think about how good the run is.
Yeah, it's almost one of those ones where like not having time to think can actually help you.
Yeah. Nebula thankfully has enough geo. You need 350 here.
Clearly he doesn't know you stand at the right side of lemon. It sells everything at once.
Yeah, us speedrunners, we always forget about stuff like that.
Yeah, don't know why.
Just like we always forget about bench warp. I'm sure there's a lot of spots where you could save a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Nightmare not going for balcony 3 saw tunnel, which is very understandable. That strat is incredibly hard and doesn't save a lot, and if you mess it up, it's really bad. It's like 1 second saved going for it and loses 6 seconds if you dunk. Oh no. Murder.
Yay, murder.
Fun fact, Nailsmith murder is 0.8, so, a very inconsequential decision.
I can't believe Nebula's gonna miss.
Yeah, unfortunately for Nebula, playing Nailsmith Nailsmith's ghost haunts you in Pantheons, and you get bad Umu, so...
God, if only we could do a spell early control here.
Yeah, that'd be really crazy. I wonder which mods were against that.
Yeah. It's almost like you didn't want it to be, like, PC dependent, which is just weird.
Almost as well, like, it was a glitch that we'd known about forever, and it was banned, and there kind of wasn't a great reason to allow it, but every 112 runner
The reason
wanted
to allow it was that it was 8 seconds faster.
Yeah, my bad. I'm being televated now.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll get right on that, guys. We're gonna see the funny development where unlocking all the Pantheons is faster. Because you get to do that without.
Incredible.
Yeah. It's funny how Godhome is the section where we're supposed to do all the Pantheons in the row, and we quit out twice.
Is the other one after Pantheon 4 or something?
Yeah, you quit out after Pantheon 4 to skip the cutscene.
Incredible.
It saves like 2 seconds, it's not even like a minor thing. So yeah,
216 overwhelmed. Goddamn.
yeah, it's be nutty. So yeah, this is very much record pace going in.
The real question, have you been on Nebula's audio this whole time?
Yeah. We've been Nebula's audio the whole time. Nightmare was playing music before, and I didn't have time to check if that got turned off.
Perfect. So we just get Nebula to submit the commentary, like this video instead of just his... Oh wait, no, it doesn't have live split. Never mind. No, it does.
Yeah, it does have live
Yeah,
split.
big brain.
Yeah. So Nebula can submit this for the world record. The ultimate flex.
We're definitely not getting ahead of ourselves. Oh, MMC made it into the ground, unfortunate there.
Yeah. Escaped. As you can see, Nebula's not very happy with that escape.
And it's also Nebula. All the Zoomer runners just be pressing buttons in any downtime possible. Case in point.
You don't get it. You have to practice your turn cancels in between bosses. How else are you gonna do them?
Wild of you to think that I would ever run something that needs quick slash.
Yeah. It's really important that you get 100% efficiency out of your time. If you're not running, you're practicing. Going for the no RNG Dung Defender. Getting it first try pretty cleanly. Not that there is a second try for a while, but... Oh, that was close. If Soul Warrior stayed in there like one more second, could have been no teleports. Interesting Pantheon tidbit. P1 Moloch has more HP than P5 Moloch.
Incredible.
Due to a dumb coding bug in the
Interesting Pantheon tidbit.
yeah.
P5 Moloch has more HP than Overworld Moloch.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's close.
It's funny that it's close when you fight P5 Moloch with all the spells and nails and everything, and in Fair Mask Shards you fight Moloch with nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pantheon Hornet 1 has more HP than Hornet 2 because Hornet 1 has a lower stagger count, so she doesn't get to move. And Team Cherry's solution was just, we'll just up the HP by 100.
Yeah, the early game bosses in Godhome are just, they kind of just stand there, and it's like, yeah, but it's harder because the health number's bigger.
Yeah, a couple of them get to attack sometimes.
Yeah.
I think most of them get one attack, usually. Oh, Nightmare also homophobic. Dang.
God damn.
Nell Smith getting stabbed in the back or blasted in the back 2 times in a row.
God damn it.
A Nightmare about to enter Godhome and somehow find a way to Nebula anyway.
Nightmare's just gonna discover P4 skip.
You can't actually do P4 skip because it's a percent.
Damn.
Yeah.
Nightmare's actually just gonna discover the wrong warp from the first boss to the last boss of P5.
Do that either, because you need Systems of Battle and Nosket.
Okay. Nightmare's gonna discover duplicated bosses removal.
Yeah, Nightmare's gonna discover room dupes in Godhome. That's also NMG. So Nightmare's
Yeah,
gonna
that's
do
also
P1,
mine.
P2. Nightmare's gonna do P1, P2, P3, and P4 at the same time.
Yeah. He's gonna discover how to overlay every single room over one another, and then you just like D-Dark 6 times and you've killed 30 bosses.
And then Nightmare's also gonna pay me some money, and we're gonna make it legal.
Yeah. Well, it saves time. That's like everyone's metric for if
Yep.
it's minor.
I thought the metric was based on how much it impacted ACN.
Clearly, it's its impact on the trout population.
Yeah, it makes sense. Good Nosk. Saved 11 seconds on that comparison.
God dang.
Great boss. Going for the right side broken vessel. That's a new strat that was developed. Fixes all the RNG. Time saves coming out of P2 here. Despite the unfortunate Soul Master. Damn. That was a clean Shio. It hit every slash.
Yeah, that was really good. And MMC not getting out of the ground on Nightmare's screen, so still playing
Yep.
really well. Like, I feel like we haven't been talking about Nightmare much just because Nebula's been pacing so hard, but
Yeah.
you know, 80% of cases, Nightmare's still doing really well. It's just Nebula's on very solid pace.
Yeah. Like, Nightmare is still, like, potentially able to sub 3 this run. Which is crazy because that's only possible with Fury strats.
Yeah, getting a... If you said to someone a few years ago, oh yeah, someone's gonna get a sub 3 in a race and lose.
Yeah, both these
just
are gonna get
crazy.
sub 3 in a race.
Yeah.
interesting to see what the runners do in between bosses. Nightmare was practicing his instas while Nebula has been practicing the turn cancels.
Kids these days gotta be pressing buttons.
It's not about the buttons, it's about the practice. You don't understand. It's the grind set.
Guess I'm just not a grinder.
Yeah, 112 runners wouldn't run if it wasn't practice as well.
Yeah,
There's
you need the
priorities.
run so you can then, like, it's actually just doing segment practice for all the segments in a row.
Yeah, yeah. People do runs to get better segment PBs. A bit of an unfortunate Grim. Grim is just a really unfun boss sometimes.
Yeah, just so punishing as well.
Yeah, but looks like that was a second time loss.
And P2 now for Nightmare. Really good P1 actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I builded Armada at the end by a second. But yeah, it's pretty clear to see where Nightmare's strengths are just already in the first little bit of Pantheons.
Yeah,
With the
definitely.
turn cancels and just better execution on a lot of these bosses.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things that, kind of as we touched on earlier, is a big thing with the Chinese community in general. Like, they're just so good at Godhome.
Yeah, like Nightmare had the best Godhome ever attained in a run when their PB was like 15 minutes behind world record.
Yeah. There's so much of, like we were saying, the people joining now, like so much of the Chinese community came from Pantheons and then learnt Overworld, whereas so much of the English-speaking community, like Nebula being a prime example, came from other categories and then learnt Godhome.
That Ulu was not very cooperative.
But don't worry, you'll get another chance at getting even worse RNG.
Yeah, but the times aren't looking too hot for the really big 254. Gonna take a lot more than that to break that minute barrier.
Yeah.
But we're still looking at a pretty decent chance at record. Overall, despite Umu being annoying, it was still a time save on the comparison for Nebula there, about 13 seconds. So,
Is that
still
a
trying to
PB
play well.
comparison?
The time on the comparison is 256.11, which is not PB, but
That's their last PB, I guess.
yeah, yeah, it's the old one, because we got the 55 recently, just like a few days ago.
Yeah. Apparently this comparison has a terrible P4, which is a good sign.
Yeah. Definitely big opportunity then. It's one of those
Also-
things though, it's hard to control the times you get with right defender and no eyes.
Yeah.
And
In
Soul
Rage
Tiger-
Guardians, Godhome appearances are just so weird. Like, it's a Geo Rock and it doesn't even drop Geo. Oh no, Nightmare.
That is
To
unfortunate.
Shio, what that look like?
looked like it.
Yeah. Really unfortunate death there.
Yeah, that pretty much seals the deal. If Nebula can survive B5, it's probably not recoverable.
Yeah. That said, no eyes is...
Oh, yeah, that's the P4 thing we're talking about here. We skip Trader Road and Pantheons. Doesn't save a lot of time. And the HP is really bad. Like if Nebula skipped this, Nebula would even have enough HP for both like defender skips.
No eyes is just the worst.
Yeah.
Cat Gidge.
Oh, that's an unfortunate scream.
Missed second scream skip, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess it would have quite a bit of health left because it's got home version.
Yeah.
So this is just giga time loss.
Yep. Have to go through all the dives. Still, yeah, it's a that comparison, but definitely a lot of the time save that was supposed to happen didn't. Oh, and facing the wrong way, going for turn cancels on Tail Champ. Turn cancels, for people who don't know, if you turn in between your slashes, you can save 1 frame on your slash animation. Which adds up a lot with how many times you nail things in Godhome. Oh, good Markoth.
Markoth.
That's definitely a gold. Yeah, 1 second gold.
Good man.
That was disgusting. That's faster than most Fury Markoths I've seen. Bit unfortunate. Didn't get the Watcher Knight kill fast enough, so he got a back roll. Watcher Knights can only back roll if there's more than one on screen, or more than one alive. So killing them as fast as possible is really important so they don't back roll. Since it's by far the worst thing they can do, is bounces and rolls multi. The Soul Tyrant is an interesting boss with Flukes. Really wanting to see a orb attack the spinning orbs. And until those spinning orbs comes, the fight's gonna be really slow. But it's only at 35%. There we go. But it came like way too late. The spinning orb is the only attack you can get shrieks on consistently. Does get the kill on the face too, at least. It's not guaranteed. And it's pretty tight. A good Pure Vessel and Nebula will be on a minute ahead of the comparison. Pure Vessel is a little bit awkward because it's one of the only bosses that's immune to flukes.
Got the THK lineage. The jump stagger. Classic.
Yeah, Pure Vessel is super jank. One of the other things you'll notice is that Nebula is able to shriek even when Pure Vessel is parrying, because if you shriek to the right, it doesn't trigger the parry.
Classic Team Cherry moment. Nice collector from Nightmare.
So this is probably the moment where the nerves are kicking in for Nebula. The Simos are coming out. You know, the P5 is. If Nebula is able to get like even a like remotely close ones that people have been able to get in practice, like those mid-18s, you'll see a pretty hefty world record. Looking like it's
the final show off of the Nebula wall jumps.
Yep. Well, one more in Radiance maybe, and people land for those though. So, currently, Nebula has a chance to get a 2v3, it looks like. If he got his best 5, it would be a 253, but very unlikely with the circumstances, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, he still has an Umu left.
Yeah. But the 54 is probably pretty comfortable at this point in terms of not getting locked out of it by RNG. Just needs to execute.
Alright, gets that in the secret kill that time. Nice.
Yep. Already executing, getting revenge back on MMC. Meanwhile, Nightmare still is getting some golds in Godhome. Still pushing to do his best, get some good times.
H2 not super behaving there, but still decent.
No, you really don't want to be getting hit here, but it's fine. Yeah, see the heal pop here. You only want the 3 casts for Soul Warrior. Or only need the 3 casts for Soul Warrior. Sly looking really rough. Nightmare missing the insta-kill, or potentially not having the HP to go for it.
Yeah, be very glad to get the heal here.
Yeah. It's nice that you do have the, I don't know, warm up in a way at P1 through P4 where the stakes are a lot lower when you do get the heals in between. So, you know, you have the moments where you mess up the Sly, and you're able to be like, oh, I messed this up before P5 where it, like, really matters.
Yeah, you have the warm-up. Good pattern here. God, that last one taking a real long time to die. Does one of those get a health boost when the other dies, or they just one took more hits?
One spawns with less HP. I'm pretty sure, like, Oro, which you fight first, has, like, half the HP of Mono.
Ah, makes sense.
For phase 2. But I never remember which one's which. I just know I'm supposed to beat them up.
Yeah. I mean, Mardo's the one that dies second is kind of all you need to know, I think. Also, this is all with a 10-spit boulder as well.
Just like a really classic example of how it just does not matter.
Yeah. But he's gonna lock in, get a 254.09, and he can blame boulder RNG.
Yep. Oh, the dodges. The abnormal spit
Very
patterns
clean.
are consistent. It's just hard to dodge sometimes. Might be able to see a enter hot spring skip here. That's a little bit unfortunate. Not the attacks you want to be seeing from sisters. But thankfully the Shriek makes this fight a lot more consistent overall. So even though the RNG wasn't great, it's still not a bad time loss.
Looks like a bench skip, yeah. If it counts if you're still getting the hot spring, but we ignore
Yeah,
them.
it doesn't really count with hot springs.
Yeah.
Like, you're able to, if you hit list, you can save a couple casts on Mantis Lords and skip the hot spring, but it's not that much faster. So you only really want to do it if you are full HP for some reason. Which is incredibly rare.
God, that's so quick.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Does the
Slash-
upslash trigger multis?
Yes, so
Yeah.
Broken Vessel gets knocked up out of the flukes and falls back into them over and over again. And it's really
Incredible.
accentuated by the quick slash. Here, missing the Galeon quick kill, taking some damage too, unfortunately. The Galeon quick kill works because the visual shaking he does also moves his hitbox, so he like vibrates in and out of the flukes, and gets hit by like 5 flukes a second. And takes like 1,000
Yeah, it's
damage.
crazy. It's like with VS Flukes no shaman, it's still like 2 casts in the overworld on spawn. Like he's just one of the super susceptible bosses.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's one of the only like enemies that can die in a single cast,
Yeah, I'd believe it.
or in terms of bosses. Predict Nightmare had a couple deaths, including a death to Theo. It was probably and a flower failure.
And then had a death earlier in the run, I believe.
There was a lukewarm death, but just like a lot of spots that went like really bad, like Sanctum lost like a minute. Even though there
Yeah, I
wasn't a
got
death.
Hell Rooms pretty bad.
Yeah. So just a lot of really unfortunate things,
Yeah.
like having the
And,
hero bunch
like-
and collector split, stuff like that.
Yeah, and he lost like 30 seconds to Epogo as well, just
Yep.
getting soul and stuff.
Yeah. Nightmare's like been
Just
playing
real
super well
unfortunate.
most of the time. It's just like, 5 mistakes in a 112 run can add up to 6 minutes. So
Yeah, just really unfortunate selection of the mistakes that he made, basically. And I mean,
Yeah.
Nebula's also just like, this pace is a ridiculously high bar to be having to race against.
yeah, Nebula has not really been making mistakes at all. Like, there's definitely been like a few here and there and some rough RNG, but for the most part, Nebula has been just executing exactly as you would in an IL.
Yeah, and like so many of the unfortunate things, like he's just getting the backup first try, like yeah, just a
Yeah,
really
it's-
good depth of knowledge.
Yeah. And it's like, even on the spots where like things go really badly, like Nebula just didn't die, like the 1 HP no eyes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
1 HP Nosk. No, it wasn't Nosk. Forget what else it was. But there's a few spots where Nebula's on the verge of death. Oh, Great Prince out. Stuff like that.
True, yeah.
Oh. I was a much better watchers than E4. Time for Umu.
Alright, let's go gambling.
Okay, that's not the worst. That's 3 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. That's a really annoying spawn for that reason.
Oh!
Oh. Yeah, this HP situation's really bad. We're not out of the woods yet. Having no soul for a Nosket is not where you want to be. Nosket, you really want a bunch of soul to pre-fluke, and then you want a bunch of soul going into Sly for the one shot, and HP to damage tank. And then you have to do Hornet too right after, so...
This is rough.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
as Nebula in this situation, you just feel all that time slipping away.
Yeah, and you can't really heal here either because you need all the soul for Sly. So now you're just like, okay, like I'm probably like 3 HP Hornet too. Especially because Sly or Nebula had a death to Hornet to last run. This last one I saw. So that new HP lost like a total of 20 seconds.
Alright.
But it's all good now. Just take this bench. Don't really need the Soul Prone Rage Guardian. You're in a really good spot. Nightmare. Almost done with the P1 section of P5 now. Getting in position in case Nebula drops the ball.
Yeah, hopefully he can kind of recenter himself after
Yeah.
that now. Kind of reset with the bench. Mentally reset.
Because it's crazy, but even with all the difference, right? If Nebula dies right now, he's a whole P1 behind Nightmare.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, which is kind of historically the big reason why people have been so apprehensive to race 112 or even do it in a marathon, just because, like, a P5 death is the estimate destroyer.
yeah, exactly. There's no way to provide an accurate time, because it's like, oh, if I die to P5, like, my run might be 3:30 loadless, right? Which is like 4 hours. But if I don't, and I, like, play well, like Nebula is right now, like, that stuff might be like 3:20, you know?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, look, we kind of need someone else who can do a backup run of I don't die to Pantheons, and then you just have a, like, 15-minute run you can put in there. Otherwise, like, yeah, it's just such a variance for any actual marathon. Or, you know, just be a 2025 top 112 runner and be able to be... No, I won't die. Also nice at White Defender that time.
Yeah, it's crazy because right before the overcharm happened, like that's when people had like gotten to the point where it's like, yeah, I'll never die to Pantheons because like I just have infinite health. And then the overcharm happened, and then everyone was dying to Pantheons. And even to this day, like sometimes people still die, like Nebula did the other day. Like on pace, dies to Hornet 2. It's like, what can you do? It's like 3 hours gone.
Yeah. But yeah, Nebula getting to the pointy end of things now.
Dropping the flukes
it's
here.
Tyrant failed champ.
Tyrant, Markov, Zote, failed champ, NKG, Pure Vessel, Radiance.
Yeah.
Flukes can be run in the section, but people usually drop the overcharm and the flukes here. It just makes Nightmare King Grim a lot safer. Because doing overcharm Nightmare King Grim and trying to dodge the fireballs and hit during the balloon, just a bit of a nightmare.
Playing Markov again.
Yeah, that was really good. For the right side strat, but still got a really good time. No damage. Which is really important. You want to be as much HP as you can. Into Zote, just that way you're not having to waste time and fail champ on healing, and you're just full soul per NKG.
Yeah, GPZ kind of suffering from the not having flukes on, but still not too bad. We just have so much damage.
Yeah, the flukes can make Markov and Zote and fail champ a lot faster, but the trade-off with Tyrant and NKG is pretty rough.
Yeah.
But really need all that soul for failed champ so you can do these like shrieks to get the instant staggers. And then all of your dream nails after you want to spend on soul per NKG. So even though you do have an opportunity to heal, you would rather not. You'd rather just have full soul. Which is exactly what's happening here. Just kind of in the best position you could be at this point. Looks like Comparison has a pretty decent NKG. Oh, that is unfortunate. Taking one.
Yeah, taking the double damage there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's really sad. So the balloon normally does single damage, but if a fireball overlaps, you can sometimes take double, which makes NKG a lot worse. And just the one nail hit after the bats to prove the point. There still is the chance for the 354, but it's really tight. But we're probably going to see a record unless there's a death, just because there's a pretty nice cushion for that. But we might also see that minute barrier.
Making full use of that shriek on the parry there. This is a Nightmare King Grim for Nightmare as well. Wait.
Or Master Grim.
Root Master, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting ahead of myself.
The Grims are probably like the easiest bosses to lose like 20 seconds on to a mistake. Just because you need all the HP.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just so cycle based, like.
Gotta get our Hollow Ds for the world record. We just need to see a 2-minute radiance for the 254, which is really achievable for a top runner. But the question is, like, you know, how safe are you going to play? How much do you care about that barrier versus the record?
Yeah, healing to full here.
It makes sense. You can get a lot of soul on Abstrad really fast anyway, especially when you get good spawns like that.
Yeah, very fast teleport there, unfortunately. But...
Yeah. And the teleport was pretty far, so wasn't able to get it on single attack.
Yeah.
But
Was at least able to get like the nice double hits weaved in there.
yeah, going for wall
Taking
jumps
a lot of
because
damage this climb.
there's HP to spare.
Yeah, the full health heal there at the start really paid dividends. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. I don't remember numbers anymore, but I think we clipped. Yeah, I think we clipped. $254.48 in a race.
That's so...
That's okay. We'll ban him for cheating. We all know he did. We all watched it. And repeatedly. Literally the main cow.
The first photoshopped world record.
Meanwhile, Nightmare still finishing up the run. An uncomfortable slide position, but a lot better than Nebula's was. Opting not to heal. That's interesting. I guess getting the triple flukes was more valuable, especially with the dream nails. We all watched it, and repeatedly. Oh, Nebula doesn't know his audio's on stream. He's watching it back. I'm gonna get Nightmare's audio down. And then I'll play it. Nightmare's got his music on, so you will not be hearing the Hollow Knight OST.
Really clean Lusk in there.
Yeah, that was good. Would have been nice to see a bit more Maltese, but you take what you can get, you know? Yeah, Nebula is well known for not setting up audio channels. So, unfortunate.
Players.
Yep. But thankfully we got the full audio on this recording for the parts that actually matter, so.
It's still submittable.
Yeah. Probably might have to mute Nightmare's music, I don't know. It's copyright. So.
Dibs verifying it. I need a pad by stats.
Well, Nebula, just submit the race. Don't use the tourney layout.
Yeah, no, submit this VOD.
Yeah.
Then you have the commentary over it and you can flex that it's in a race more clearly.
Yeah.
Because we're on your audio the whole time. So it's valid.
Yep. Nightmare entering the final stretches. It's just this and then the final two. So, one more bench. Getting the good attack on Soulmaster to get the stagger. Or Soul Tyrant. Yeah, Nebula broke minute barriers that run actually. Minute barrier for Godhome entry, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it's the first 2:16. And then the minute barrier for the record. With 10 spit Balder.
Yeah. If you'd just gotten 30 less boulder spits, that was a 253.
Oh yeah, if you got negative 20 boulder spits.
Yeah.
If you got your boulder spit while you were collecting Vengeful Spirit.
Yeah.
That Zotling is out for blood.
Also, it's crazy how you would go 254, 47 if you didn't kill Nailsmith.
Yeah, true. You missed the second barrier. Actually, it would have been more because the bad Umu RNG was from Nailsmith. We established that.
Oh, true, true. Yeah, so it would have been like a low 254.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel a little bit sad that I didn't get to focus on as much as Nightmare's run, because it's definitely been pretty clean for the most part, but it is still exciting to see Nebula pop off with a new record.
Yeah, like I say, like Nightmare's run has been very good. It's just comparing to a like 1 minute world record.
Yeah, just super unlucky that what happened in the run happened in Sanctum, and then also, you know, Nebula cheated. Nothing he could really do.
And then the Pantheon death as well. Because outside of that, like, it was on track for sub 3, I think.
Yeah, there's a ton of golds and everything. But yeah, Nightmare demonstrating why you need full HP for NKG, getting all the hits as well. Thankfully, we get to see the instant heal after Pure Vessel, so that damage doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it would be a lot sketchier otherwise.
For Nightmare, and a pretty good chance at Leo too, even with all the incidents. Just need a sub 2 Radiance, which looks like Nightmare's gold is a 132, which is absolutely disgusting.
Classic Nightmare.
I'm pretty sure 132 is like, it's like 8 or 9 seconds faster than the best Radiance I ever got without Fury.
Yeah, you can tell just watching this. Oh my lord.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're like, oh, the turn cancels don't matter that much. It's 1 frame. And then, like, the 2,000 frames come to get you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, that platform phase was just so fast.
Yeah, and then this climb too, just not getting hit on any of these wall jumps. It's so disgusting. It goes for the predict and got zoned, but should be dead. Yeah. GG.
GG.
Getting that
Yeah,
302.
comfortable 302.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that, even with the platform or the final phase, that might be like a 4x still. 130 like something radiance, which is gross.
Yeah, that platform phase was just so fast.
Yeah, 147 radiance, still better than my goals. That was insane. What a race. Like, it's unfortunate it wasn't close, but these runners played so incredibly well.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, to say it's not close and one of them gets a 302 is still just incredible.
Yeah, it's so much different from what this category was, even just like a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And just like the number of high level competitors we have at the moment. 112's in a really good spot right now, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely been like the second golden age of 112 for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully Nightmare also has 112%. I didn't see a Nebula's credit thing, but that is one of the sad things that can happen to you is getting to that end credit scene and seeing 111% before the main menu. Yeah, it's not even you lose and you get a sub 3. It's you lose by several minutes. But yeah, that run was just fantastic from both runners. Yeah, 5.5 minutes. It's wild. Well, I'm not sure if Nebula wants to do a post-race.
He joined waiting,
interview.
so I assume so.
Oh, yeah, that would be an indication. Guess we'll go ahead and pull him in. I have to remember how to Discord. Welcome, Nebula. How are you feeling?
Less nervous than I thought I would be. I mean, I was definitely terrified at some points. Like, I think in P4 Trader Lord, I went down to 4 HP, so I was kind of terrified there. But I don't know. Pretty happy with the run overall.
Yeah, like, were you feeling? Assume you were feeling nervous. Like, did you knew it was like 254 pace going into like Godhome and P5 and stuff?
Oh, I knew it was 253able.
Yeah, 253able into Godhome.
With a 36. Yeah, it was 253 into P5 actually. Like 18 3x P5, which was like doable.
Yeah, a couple of unfortunate moves, but that's what you get for killing Nailsmith.
Yeah, I saw Yuho actually die in a very, very similar way. I think that's how his run died. He like fell in Umu and just got destroyed. So I was kind of getting PTSD from watching that. But luckily, I just played Noskit like as safe as possible, and then everything went okay. Damn.
Helped with your mental.
The Balder and the No Eyes. Oh, actually, unironically, yeah, actually, I think getting like destroyed in RNG early game is like fine for nerves. I'm surprised I was even close, like out of dive to PB, because I was plus 25 at Claw.
Yeah, the boulder and then the explosion pogo as well were rough.
Oh yeah, that one felt bad.
Yeah,
Any
but it's
consolation nightmare had a
also
rougher
missed
one.
it. Yeah, several times. So
It's unfortunate.
yeah,
I
it,
got a
it was.
couple comp subs this run too.
I
Um,
figured everything looked really clean.
yeah. Cyclone at least. I won't go into the details. It's boring. Yeah, I mean, when I got green or even close to green, I kind of knew I was like, okay, I'm playing well. I have a good shot of winning. Like, not winning the race, but like winning as in world record. Because I mean, I don't know. It's just my PB is so weird, or was so weird. Because if I'm green at all, or even close to green, then I should just be able to PB into P1, like enter P1. But PB had like a 38.59 or something, Godhome, and I'm like consistently saving a minute to that. So as long as I don't fumble really hard, I knew I could clutch it out.
Yeah, for sure. Did your 255.55 have something weird with it? So I think your comparison was the sort of 256.11.
It was early Fury, and then I dropped it.
That'd do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was also like the weirdest PB of all time. Is didn't even bother like fixing it. I would much rather compare to a good overworld.
hmm
Oh, that no eyes in the overworld was fucked.
Yeah.
Losing like 17 seconds in one fell swoop always is a bit questionable, but the next splits went pretty well. And once you get past like Grim, it's always like a sigh of relief, I think. For
Yeah.
overworld
For the
paces.
most part, like bounced back really well. Like you had those couple of things that were just rough, but then
Yeah,
you
I mean,
picked
I'm
back up
pretty
and
confident. I'm pretty confident I can beat this pretty soon. I'm playing really well the past few, or like the past week.
yeah, for sure.
Like everything was going right in most of those splits, right? Like there's definitely the times where, no eyes was annoying or whatever, or like you missed the movement thing, but it felt like 80-90% of the splits, like everything just went according to the script,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like of course, like a couple movement mistakes here and there. There's just like a couple things that I'm just losing like 20 seconds randomly, like no eyes in the boulder spits and blinking on some other stuff. But oh, LA1 or LA2. Okay, White Palace
Yeah.
was really good considering I lost like I don't know how much that lost, but it felt like 20. It
Yeah,
can't
your
be
left
20.
atrium was rough, but like all four of your balcony rooms were perfect, basically.
White Palace was really good. It was like a low 3-2x if I didn't fuck up LA1 or LA2. Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on there. Yeah, GG's.
Yeah.
This was a race I really wanted to like prepare for because I don't know. I'm really passionate about like trying to connect the communities since we've been like pretty much entirely separate. So I was really happy that Nightmare wanted to still play even after like some reschedules and stuff.
Yeah.
So doing the first like head to head from the two communities is a really cool thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Gotta do the next one restreamed with Chinese comms on Billy.
Yeah, there were Chinese comms for this one.
Sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they started. We got these last minute, but they had it all planned out.
Yeah. Yeah, like this layout and everything was from them. Like it was mostly organized on their part too as well. So
Yeah, I just want to I want to give a huge shout out to Scarlet because
Mm.
Scarlet without Scarlet, like it would be almost impossible to organize like anything like this. There's a couple other people as well. But Scarlet has been such a big help, and I'm so happy to have them like in the community. It really makes me happy.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that Scarlet continues to organize more. It sounds like there was talks of doing like a full like cup and getting a lot of the other, top 112 runners since competition's really been popping lately.
Yeah, I think yeah, they were gonna do some more stuff, maybe like a 112 tournament. It's all in like very early stages, but um, they're definitely looking into doing more stuff in the future, which I'll be
Yeah, that'd be
excited
cool.
to partake in.
Yeah. Hopefully, start of more to come with regards to like kind of blending the communities a bit more.
Hmm.
Because it's just so good, like in terms of having a cohesive community, but also just like for strats, for this, for that. It's just so much easier when there isn't that barrier. So anything we can do to kind of break that down a bit's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember like trying to like go on Yihow's like Billy stream and like using a translator and stuff like that. It was like definitely nice to discuss strats and stuff, but it was like really hard. There's a lot of things that Google Translate or DeepL or whatever doesn't translate even remotely correctly. Like there's the like hand operated nuclear bomb or something that Epoga got
Yeah,
translated
there's
to.
so many like good memes that just come out of it.
Yeah.
Like it's very cool to see.
Yeah, so having like people like Scarlet who are willing to interact with like both communities and reach out and help kind of bridge that gap has been really helpful, and it's really cool to see. Like it was definitely surreal, like even though it was with the translator, like being able to like talk to Ehao a bit.
Yeah, I mean like previously it was just like somebody who's like completely unreachable, but like I have a Billy account like that Green Yogurt helped me get, and I could just like talk to Yeho and be like, hey, good luck, and and he's just like thank you, and that's it. But like that's huge, you know. Or like I was watching him do Grim 1 cycle, and I just said like shriek earlier, and like something as simple as that, and then he started getting Grim 1 cycle the way that we do it, which
Yeah,
is like typically better. So
yeah,
it's just so cool to see.
yeah. There's like a lot of stuff like that. Like when he was trying to overcharm Kingdom's Edge before Markov, and I was just like, don't do it.
Yeah, it's something I'm really passionate about because I've talked to a lot of the Chinese runners and stuff, and uh, I feel very honored that they even bother with me, to be honest. But a lot of them go so far out of their way to help me.
No,
Yeah, that's
they've
really
been
cool.
super helpful and kind and accepting. Um, on their end, and I wish it was easier for us to return that favor.
Yeah, like I was like when Dark Knight initially reached out to me, if I remember right,
Mm,
we were both messaging each other
mm.
by putting the English and the Chinese like just back and forth. And of course, like he could just, not have done that and it wouldn't make any difference, but it's just like a respect thing where, showing we put the effort of like I am going to translate this for you and then you translate it for me. That type. But then it got to a point where people told me, no, 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 don't use the translator. We'll translate it because we understand the context much better, and it's just something that like I can't. I feel bad because I can't return the favor.
Yeah,
Like I'm coming into like their chats, typing in English, and like they're the ones that have to translate it. It's just
yeah,
I wish
it's
I could really repay the favor, but that's just how it is.
yeah, it's frustrating for sure. But it's just like the Chinese, the English translation is like unfathomably like easier for them to do than us to do English to Chinese, right? Like obviously, like if they don't set up the characters the right way, like our translator spits out like amazing memes. But yeah, it's just like a really difficult thing because it feels bad not being able to reach out.
Yeah, and as bad as it feels though, they go like the extra mile to like do it.
Mm.
So it's just very, very cool. But yeah, happy the run could finish out. I've definitely had a couple paces that died of some silly stuff, so this was a little overdue, I think. And by
Yeah,
overdue, I mean like a couple days overdue.
yeah, I watched
But you
your
know,
run the other day that died to like Hornet in E5, I think it was.
yeah, there were. I think that run died. I think that run died at Quick Slash, like literally died, and it
Yeah.
was still PBable.
Yeah.
And then there was another one that died at Flower Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like hoping to get like the Godhome was okay, but Godhome is literally all I practice anymore. I don't really touch Overworld. The Overworld practice the in question is literally just doing runs. And I mean it works, I guess. So
It's interesting because it feels like for 112 runners, it like flip flops like that a bunch, right? Where like eventually like the Godhome gets like good enough and then it's like overworld's the issue and then it's only overworld practice. Like it feels like it's really hard to like ever get to a spot where they're both like equal.
yeah, I think 107 I can accredit a lot to that. I
Mm.
just completely learned Overworld, got good at Overworld. And granted, like when I started 112 and I was like second place in 107, I was like nowhere near as good as I am right now. But like starting entirely focused on Overworld and then getting to actually like implement it in runs independent of Godhome, um, I think really helped in the long run. Because now I could just only do Godhome and my Overworld is still really good.
Yeah. Because I also feel like Godhome rusts like 10 times faster, right? Like if you don't have like that mental freshness with Godhome, it just
Oh
snowballs really
yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so what are your thoughts in terms of like running more? Are you planning on sticking with 112, trying to get a new PB? Like, what's your goals time wise? Are you like pushing 253? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think I'm gonna push for a couple more days, but then I
Mm.
have to go back to any percent for the tournament.
Oh, okay.
So I would
Mm.
love to stick with 112, but I kind of have to. I think I can 253. I'm not sure about 252 like before I go back to any percent at least. I have
Yeah.
like 5 days.
You feel like
So
you
like
can take your break, do any percent, come back, and then you think 252 is on the table? Like, do you think that's
it
like a
just
time frame
depends on how
thing?
bored I get. Yeah, I mean it just depends on how bored I get. Like I just need time to get better at Godhome, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I'm not getting 36s consistently at all, and you kind of
Mm.
need to 252. You kind of need to 253, but not really anymore with how like fast my overworld is getting.
Mm.
Like this run was what? It was 50 seconds behind a pace I had yesterday, I think.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
it was
it,
50
so.
seconds behind.
So you got a 216.19 or 216.09 overworld?
216.59. No.
Oh,
At King's Brand, I was 50 seconds behind. I got a
oh, okay.
57.22
Oh, okay.
or the other day.
Yeah, yeah. But you didn't finish that overworld on that pace, right? It was like the quick slash death or
No.
whatever.
Yeah. Died
Okay.
at Quick Slash, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay.
so that sounds like really reasonable then. Like,
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm getting like super consistent at calls. Like my past like so many calls have been like a low 5-2x. Like I thought that I was gonna have trouble not losing time to the 522 in my PB, and I'm just not ever. It's pretty sick.
yeah, no, your calls have definitely looked like very clean. So pretty on point. It was like what 523 this run, and then
522.
522. Okay, and then like one was like a
335.
310,
Oh,
311, and
13.
then Call of 2 was a 335 or something.
What
So
were you saying, May?
Oh, I just thought Colo 2 was a 335.
yeah,
Yeah. Those are all quite solid. Like you can save time to those, but it's not reasonable.
yeah, like that's like your goal of like this is the best I can hope for in a run to get like consistently. Like any faster is just luck. So
Yeah, the only thing that I can hope to get faster that isn't just stupidly RNG is White Palace, I think.
mm,
Everything
yeah,
else is like
Mm.
fine.
yeah, that White
And
Palace
then
was
like
like a bit rough.
I mean it was really good. I'm happy I got Salt Tunnel. That was hype.
Yeah, the Salt Tunnel was
Yeah.
hype. Like the ending was really good. It was just like the like 12 seconds or
Left
whatever
atrium.
to left atrium to the double dunk.
Yeah. But yeah, balcony was basically perfect.
Yeah, and like I mean everything before LA2 was also solid. You can be a little faster with like a good C dash in room 1
Yeah,
or room 2,
but yeah, that room 2 C dash is effectively RNG. So
yeah.
like you're never getting that anywhere consistent enough to be only a skill thing.
Yeah, I think my parents watched this entire run too, which is pretty hype.
That is hype.
High Nebula's parents.
They
Yeah,
texted me, "Nice run." Like,
yeah. Shout out to world record friendly parents.
yeah, that's the buff I needed.
Right. So we can't let your parents watch Incent Grands. Or like if you go down game 1, then just shoot them a text and be like, no, open the stream. I need the power up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really cool having like such supportive people. They've never seen Hollow Knight before today, and it's amazing actually.
Yeah,
Hell of an introduction.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome. Well,
Okay. Well,
I think
that's that. I think.
pretty good time to wrap up. I'm a bit sleepy myself.
Yeah.
Felt like we got a good conclusion, good race, world record. You know, everything kind of went well. And on a good note before I'm too tired and say something stupid.
Right. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you all for dropping by. And yeah, hopefully we'll do more 112 races soon. Peace.
Yep.
Thanks for everyone that
Have a good night.
organized this as well.
Oh yeah.